Chapter 1508, Colorful Fairy Dragon. Chapter 1508, Colorful Fairy Dragon Buzz. The Forbidden Grounds array opened. Long Fei barged in alone. The sky was dark. He couldn't see the end of it. The surrounding air was calm, without a single ripple. The feeling Long Fei got was it. There's nothing here. According to the descriptions of the gods' Martial Continent and the rest, the disaster of the divinity's dragon race should have happened millions of years ago. Could the dragon race master in the Chaos Realm have escaped at that time? Or another time? Long Fei didn't know, but he really wanted to know about the divinity dragon race because he was a disciple of the Long family, but the blood of the dragons flowed in his bones. Because the disciples of the Long family were all disciples of the dragon race. His father and his grandfather were both disciples of the dragon race and the divinity, but they had appeared in this world in a different way. Huff! Long Fei exhaled a deep breath as he released the idea. Boom, boom, boom. 10 kilometers, 100 kilometers. There was no aura at all within the 100,000 kilometers. Long Fei did not know if it was because his cultivation was not high enough, or if the entire secret world was a wasteland with nothing at all. He did not sense anything. How could this be? Could it be that he died inside, and his body has already turned into a pile of mud? Long Fei muttered in his heart. Let alone the dragon race. Even the gods would die. No one could resist the corrosion of time, let alone millions of years, in such a small secret world. Who could endure it? Long Fei kept the idea and shouted loudly, "Is there anyone here?" The sound echoed in all directions. After a long time, no one answered him. Long Fei did not give up. He summoned his fire unicorn and flew out tens of thousands of kilometers before shouting, "Is there anyone here?" Still no one responded. Long Fei's heart calmed down and said slightly, "Looks like I really turned into a pile of mud." Sigh. Sighing softly, Long Fei muttered, "I came a little late." And then Long Fei turned and was about to leave. At this moment, a voice sounded as if it was coming from the heavens. "Kid, Buzz." Long Fei's sea of consciousness was shocked. Dragon race's pressure? In an instant, the blood in his body seemed to have been ignited, and he immediately became excited. He's really from the dragon race. He was well aware of the dragon race's aura. This kind of incomparable attribute, green dragon ancestor, black dragon ancestor, sea dragon ancestor. He was very clear on the aura of these dragon ancestral immortals. However, compared to the dragon race's aura from before, the green dragon ancestor and the rest's aura was like that of a 3-year-old child playing around. They were not on the same level at all. In that instant, a huge multicolored scale was imprinted in the sky, and it was an incomparably ferocious dragon head. His eyes slightly moved as he stared at Long Fei, who was as big as an ant, and asked, "Little guy, are you looking for me?" Huge. It was incomparably huge. Furthermore, the multicolored scales on his body caused Long Fei's heart to fiercely shudder as he thought in his heart, "Damn, it can't be a colorful fairy dragon, right? That would truly be awesome." In front of this huge dragon, Long Fei did not dare to have any disrespect towards it. For some unknown reason, he felt as if he was subdued by a kind of power and revered it from the bottom of his heart, and said, "Senior, I am looking for you." The colossal dragon replied with a slight smile, "Why are you looking for me?" Long Fei clenched his fists tightly. He did not hide anything, and said, "I want to know about the divinity dragon race. I want to return to divinity." Divinity? A slight ripple appeared in the colossal dragon's eyes, as if it was a long, long time ago. It muttered to itself and repeated, "Divinity, divinity. Return to the divinity?" Suddenly, the colossal dragon's gaze darkened. His pupils suddenly shrank, staring straight at Long Fei as he shouted loudly, "Exactly are you? Rumble, rumble, rumble." Space itself began to crack and distort. The might of the dragon race seemed as though the heavens and earth were collapsing as they crushed Xiang Long Fei's mind and soul. Boss, be careful. Boss, if you let me out, would the old guy from the divinity be that amazing?" The gods' war beasts shouted, very unhappy. These monster beasts all rushed out to help Long Fei take responsibility, But Long Fei did not let them out. If added together, these fellows were probably no match for this colossal dragon. If he really is a colorful fairy dragon, these war beasts would be pulverized by him in an instant. Long Fei's body sank heavily. Poochie. He spat out a mouthful of blood. All of his internal organs were in a tumultuous mess, and his muscles felt like they were going to explode. Every single one of his pores were oozing with blood, and it was impossible for him to withstand such a powerful pressure. Long Fei's body trembled as he said with difficulty, "Senior, I am also a disciple of the Dragon Clan." "You?" The colossal dragon revealed a disdainful look, then said, "The blood essence in your body is not even at the dragon blood activation of 1%. Your blood vein is also not of the dragon race. Your body is not even of the dragon race. If not, you would not have been unable to withstand my pressure." "Kid, you want to lie to me? You're too inexperienced. Speak, who exactly are you? What is the purpose of your visit?" The colossal dragon's voice exploded again. Long Fei's sea of consciousness seemed like it was about to explode. It was too uncomfortable, and his breathing became hurried. Long Fei moved Golden Cudgel. Rank 1. Boom! It quickly transformed into a dragon coffin. Long Fei took out the dragon coffin and said, "There's a special reason why my body is like this, but you know this thing, right?" Once the dragon coffin appeared, the colossal dragon's expression suddenly changed. Slightly feeling it, he said each word solemnly. "Main artifact, dragon coffin. The ultimate treasure of the dragon clan. Why? Why is it in your hands?" His eyes were filled with greed. At this moment, the magic body immediately sensed it. Who wouldn't want to face a main artifact? Long Fei slightly moved to put the dragon coffin away and said, "I am the reincarnation of the Yuan Long. The divinity's dragon race is fleeing everywhere. A dragon race is escaping to the gods' martial continent. They are bringing the main artifact with them." Impossible. At that time, there were only a few members in the Yuan Long branch. It was impossible for them to escape to a lower plane like the gods' martial continent. That would affect their growth in cultivation. Wait, the colossal dragon's eyes turned cold. God's martial continent. The place they should be at is the Chaos Realm. No wonder, no wonder. They went to the gods' martial continent. And we have waited here for millions of years in vain. A mere Yuan Long wants to keep it for itself. Suddenly, anger exploded. Chapter 1509. Main Temple is nothing. Chapter 1509. Main Temple is nothing. Disaster had befallen the dragon race. Many of the Dragon Clan disciples didn't know why. They only knew that no team escaped from divinity with an item. As for what it was, they had no idea. Only a few people knew. He had initially planned for a small team to enter the Chaos Realm. However, they followed the lost course and mistakenly entered the gods' martial continent. However, even after entering the gods' martial continent, one wouldn't be able to escape a calamity that lasted 3,330,000 years. It was also because the gods' martial continent was too small and the level of calamity wasn't as fierce as the other higher planes. Only then was he able to live on with his last breath. However, those who knew of the whereabouts of the main artifact entered the Chaos Realm. However, one had to wait for millions of years and nothing had come. In order to protect himself, to avoid being hunted down, he had no choice but to shrink inside the tower question of God's Beast Master Forbidden Area. He didn't think there was any hope in this life. Unexpectedly, the main artifact dragon coffin suddenly appeared in front of him. Millions of years of waiting had greatly changed his temperament. He suspected that this was all part of the Dragon Clan's internal conspiracy. He suspected that someone had colluded with an outsider. He suspected main artifact had long since returned to the main temple. Now that he had suddenly appeared, the anger in his heart burst forth. He felt as if he was being toyed with. The flames of fury burned. Flames covered the sky. The entire sky seemed to be burning. Long Fei was overwhelmed with shock in his heart. This was the true dragon's fury. At this moment, the bloody bull of Underworld did not make a single sound. The unruly god's war beast did not have a single bit of temper, and the Tong Tian beast shrunk into a ball. The sky-swallowing rat all lost their temper. All of them had been crushed by Long knew compared to the colossal dragon. They were too weak. He was simply a weak existence. You dare to play with me? The colossal dragon's voice exploded. Boom, boom. Layer by layer, they came crashing down. Long Fei could see space shattering, and the entire secret world was shaking. This kind of array formation wanted to control the gigantic dragon? It was impossible. This was because he didn't want to leave. Otherwise, who would be able to stop him? He was constantly being crushed. The moment Long Fei's violent temper surfaced, he let out a loud roar and said, "So what if I'm playing with you? Aren't you playing with the Azure Dragon, Yuan Long, and the others? It's just that they didn't enter the Chaos Realm according to your instructions. Even if they toyed with you, if it was according to your plan, I'm afraid you would have been burnt to ashes. How could you still have a life to show off in front of me? You have no idea what we've been through. You have only been living here and hiding for millions of years. Do you know about the Sky Law tribulation that happens only once every 3,330,000 years? Do you know how many dragons died because of this? You actually dare to say that we're playing with you? Ha ha ha! Long Fei laughed coldly and shouted arrogantly, "Why don't you think about what you did wrong?" He was sure of it now. Green Dragon Ancestor and the rest were just pawns to the dragon race. He even thought that once the giant dragon obtained the main artifact, Azure Dragon, and the others would be abandoned in an instant. The main artifact? If you get it, you could go to heaven. Long Fei's words weren't loud, but each and every one of them stung the heart. Millions of years. If he hadn't slammed that thing down and entered the tomb, the dragon race wouldn't have faced such a calamity. He was once the ruler of the dragon clan's divinity. But now, is there even a single dragon left in the divinity? Even the dragons of the 100,000 planes controlled by the main temple were shrinking like rats in the cave, not daring to reveal their dragon race's strength. They were afraid that they would offend Sky Law. The huge dragon withdrew its aura and became silent. His eyes also became a lot dimmer. It was as if he had suddenly aged, and he was incomparably exhausted. After a long time, the huge dragon raised his eyes, looked at Long Fei, and asked, "Then what are you doing here?" Long Fei said, "I want you to help me. I want the dragon race to rise up once again. I want those people who are chasing after the dragon race, and those who instigated the heavenly tribulation to die under our dragon's might." The huge dragon trembled, looked at Long Fei, and smiled. "You're too ignorant. You have no idea who those people are. You have no idea how strong they are. You want the dragon race to rise again?" Ha ha! The colossal dragon sneered. There was a hint of helplessness within his smile. This was once his dream. However, now that he thought about it, he felt that it was funny. This dream was simply an illusion. It was impossible. Long Fei cursed. "Laugh at your sister. If you say it's satisfying, are you going to help or not? If you don't, I'll leave immediately. When I allow the dragon race to rise again, I'll get people to bring you back to the divinity. You won't feel aggrieved if you hide here for millions of years." Long Fei coldly snorted. The huge dragon looked at Long Fei and asked, "Do you know who our enemies are?" Long Fei said, "At most, it is only Main Temple." Main Temple? The huge dragon laughed. "The power of Main Temple is nothing. We don't even have the qualifications to carry their shoes. Do you think that our dragon race has never had a god in the divinity for so many years? Aren't there any sovereigns? The dragon race is the world's most powerful race. Dragon warrior, dragon knight, and devil dragon mage. Many sovereign powerhouses have appeared, but they have all been destroyed. Just based on those people from the main temple? Kid, you're too ignorant. You know too little." The colossal dragon said indifferently. As he thought about those terrifying things in his mind couldn't help but tremble. Long Fei was stunned. He thought that the strongest would not be the influence of the main temple. However, the colossal dragon's words made him feel too small. He thought that he was very strong and that he knew a lot. However, all of a sudden, he felt as ignorant as a 3-year-old. Even the main temple does not have the qualifications to lift shoes. How powerful is this? Long Fei was dumbstruck. At the same time, he got excited. How strong is that boss? The dragon said with a wry smile, "Brat, there are too many things in this world that you don't know about. Our dragon race is being fiercely suppressed by a powerful force. This power will definitely not let us go." At this moment, the Sleeping Beauty suddenly said, "He's right." If Long Fei did not believe her, then he had no choice but to believe in the Sleeping Beauty. When Long Fei thought of the 9 dragon coffin's Sleeping Beauty, Long Fei's heart sank even more. Damn it, what kind of world is this? His blood was boiling. Seeing that Long Fei did not speak, the huge dragon asked gently, "Do you still want to lead the dragon race to rise again? Do you still want to return to the divinity?" There was a hint of contempt in his words. He had also said what Long Fei had said before. He was looking down on Long Fei and also ridiculing himself. However, Long Fei's eyes flashed with excitement, and he said in a heavy tone, "I want to, and I will definitely do it. Will you help me?" At this moment, the colorful fairy dragon was a little dumbfounded. Chapter 15:10 Gathering of the Army. Chapter 15:10 Gathering of the Army Tower Question of God, Law Enforcement Hall. Reverse him. If not for the appearance of the Divine Awareness token last time, he would have died a long time ago. This time, I want to see if you will die or not. A senior elder of the Law Enforcement Hall shouted. 3 years ago, Long Fei killed the law enforcement elder. This made him extremely unhappy, because in the history of the Law Enforcement Hall, this was the first time someone dared to challenge the authority of the Law Enforcement Hall. He especially hated Long Fei. When he received the news that the Golden Armor bodyguard had been killed, he immediately jumped up. It's been 3 years. If you don't become his disciple, you would still dare to jump out. Long Fei, oh Long Fei, let's see how you can escape this time. Let's see who can save you now. The law enforcement official sneered, then merged together and said, "Pass down my order, call all 8 law enforcing elders over." One of the elders spoke out. "Hall Master, should we first report this matter to the Tower Lord before making a decision?" "Report. Report what?" "Killing the Golden Armor bodyguardess, who maintain the order of the Tower Question of God, is a challenge to the Tower Question of God. He is rebelling. There is no need to report at all. Just kill him directly." The law enforcement officials laughed coldly. Golden Armor bodyguard position was not high, but they were the guards of the Tower Question of God. Making a move on them was equivalent to opposing the entire Tower Question of God. Moreover, Long Fei had killed so many Beast Control Hall elders, which made it even more impossible for him to escape his guilt. Another elder said, "Hall Master, I heard that Long Fei has tamed the Beast of Hell. This monster is extremely difficult to deal with. I'm afraid." Law enforcement officials slightly said, "What are you afraid of? Long Fei was only one person. So what if he tamed the heavens? As long as we kill him, everything will be over. Send the order. In half an hour, send troops to the Beast Control Hall." "Yes, sir." Law enforcement officials looked into the distance and revealed a complacent smile. He muttered to himself, "Little bastard, this time you won't be able to jump up high." Golden Armor War Hall. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. The battle drums shot up into the sky. Golden Armor bodyguardess of the entire Tower Question of God quickly returned to the battle hall as over 10,000 of them gathered together. "You dare to touch our Golden Armor War Hall? A mere Long Fei? You've eaten the heart of a bear leopard. Now I will definitely kill him on the spot. Golden Armor bodyguard, listen up." The square roared in unison. An elder took out his sword, pointed at the direction of Beast Control Hall, and said, "Target, Beast Control Hall, advance." Tens of thousands of people flew together, charging towards the Beast Control Hall. At this moment, the entire Tower Question of God felt a killing intent that filled the sky. Inside Temple Question of God, a few St. Presbyter smiled. "This Long Fei is really courting death. It's not right to come up with such a waste of a disciple, but he has to come out to seek death. I let him live for 3 more years. This time, I definitely can't let him live again." "You're right. If he didn't jump out this time, I would have forgotten about him." A few Saints discussed. At this moment, suddenly, a shadow entered the shrine. The expression on the face of the hall elder faltered, standing up and saying respectfully, "Young Master Wushuang." The image of Zhan Wushuang. He is currently in the midst of training in the 98th floor of the God's Tower. However, even if he was in the God's Tower S, he could control the entire situation and know what happened to the Tower Question of God. Zhan Wushuang slightly said, "Since Long Fei has appeared again, then let's kill him." Xin Yuanli air erupted with unimaginable potential and stepped into the 90th floor of the God's Tower. It was only a matter of time before he broke through to the 100th floor. There was no need to worry now. Thus, Long Fei no longer had any value in using it. Perhaps, Long Fei's sudden death would stimulate Xin Yuanli air even more, and he would unleash even more powerful potential to break through the 100 levels of God's Tower with him and enter the ancient holy battlefield. An elder immediately said, "Young master, don't worry. This time, we will definitely not let Long Fei live in this world again. We will go personally." Zhan Wushuang nodded and said, "This is for the best. In addition, I do not wish for Long Fei to enter the Tower Question of God." The elder replied, "As you command." Then, Zhan Wushuang's silhouette disappeared. Suddenly, in the 90th level of the training field. "Buzz!" Xin Yuanli air frowned and asked, "What are you doing here?" Zhan Wushuang smiled slightly and said, "Junior sister, I have come to tell you something." Xin Yuanli air asked, "What is it?" Zhan Wushuang said, "Long Fei has offended the Law Enforcement Hall, the Golden Armor War Hall, the Refining Branch, the Alchemy Hall, and even the Tower Question of God's Sacred Hall Elder. I wonder how long he can last." Xin Yuanli air's body slightly trembled. He suddenly stood up and asked, "What did you say?" Zhan Wushuang said indifferently, "I want to tell you, Long Fei might not be able to last much longer." No. Big brother Long Fei will definitely not die." Xin Yuanli air's voice trembled a little. Suddenly, she turned towards the Saint Presbyter and said, "Elder, I want to go out. Let me go out." The Saint Presbyter opened his eyes and said, "If you can open up 100 layers of God's Tower, not only can you get out, the Tower Lord can also help you solve all the problems in the Chaos Realm." Zhan Wushuang said, "Junior Sister Lear, there's only 10 floors left. If you use a little more strength, perhaps you might be able to see Long Fei one last time." And then, Zhan Wushuang's silhouette disappeared. Xin Yuanli air tensed up once again. From a moment she turned out to be a Tower Question of God. Her nerves had been stretched taut. When she found out that Long Fei was still alive, she relaxed a little, allowing her to see hope. Now, her nerves were taut again. "I want to go out. I want to go see Big Brother Long Fei. I want to go out." Xin Yuanli air was about to go crazy. Saint Presbyter said, "If you defeat me, you will be able to enter the 91st floor. Otherwise, you will never be able to think of leaving." Xin Yuanli air let out a miserable scream as he thrusted out his sword. "Big brother Long Fei, wait for me, wait for me." These 3 years, she imagined the moment she would meet Long Fei every day. This was the power that supported her to continue walking down the path. Now that Long Fei was in danger, her heart was in chaos. Under the intense stimulation, her potential once again burst forth. I didn't expect her limit to be far more than this. Zhan Wushuang smiled faintly. The Saint Presbyter on the 98th floor said faintly, "The potential that has been unleashed under this intense stimulation. Once she relaxes, her mind and sea of consciousness will not be able to take it, and she will collapse." "So what?" Zhan Wushuang sneered and said, "I will personally destroy what I cannot obtain. However, before I destroy her again, I want to obtain the power from her body. As for the collapse, what does that have to do with me?" Zhan Wushuang started laughing sinisterly. "Ha ha ha." Chapter 15:11 Domestication Successful. Chapter 15:11 Domestication successful under the powerful pressure. They either exploded or collapsed. Xin Yuanli air was extremely nervous the entire time. Her potential had yet to reach its limit. However, with such a heavy pressure, what she unleashed was not potential. but an overdraft of her life. Along the way in the martial arts training, the situation was extremely dangerous. The lesser ones would go berserk. Those who were heavily injured even lost their lives and had lost all of their cultivation. To Zhang Wushuang, Xianyuan Li'er was just an item. Since she could not obtain it all, then she would just destroy her. Therefore, he did not care how Xianyuan Li'er overdrawn his life. He wanted results. What he wanted was the energy that would burst out from Xianyuan Li'er's body the moment she entered the ancient holy battlefield. It was that simple. Has Big Brother Long Fei returned yet? It's already been quite a while. Could something have happened? The royal city returned to the beast control hall. The 6 disciples frowned and clenched their fists. At this moment, their beast control hall S had tens of thousands of powerhouse S standing in the air, and the entire beast control hall was surrounded so tightly that not even a drop of water could leak out. This was the first time such a scene had occurred in the history of the Tower Question of God. This kind of scene, no one could stop him. Could the Long Fei Elder have already? A disciple said, "We have seen Boss Long Fei's beast mastery before. No beast can escape his control. Furthermore, he has Bloody Bull of Underworld S, God's War Beasts S, and other super beasts by his side, so he will definitely be fine." His tone was also lacking. After all, it was a dragon that was being locked up in that forbidden area. How strong was he? No one knew. Whether Long Fei could tame it or not was unknown. The imperial city heaved a sigh of relief and said, "No matter how big Brother Long Fei is, no matter how many people there are, how many powerhouses we have made our choice, we will live and die with them." You're right. At most, I'll just die. Exactly. When they chose to stay, they were prepared for the worst. At this moment, Qian Changrui returned, panting. He looked at the 6 and asked, "Where's Long Fei?" The imperial city shook his head. They haven't come out yet in the Dragon Clan's master's forbidden area. What? Qian Changrui frowned and said, "I told you guys a long time ago that he absolutely could not be allowed to enter that forbidden grounds. No one could leave that place alive. Master, what do we do now?" The royal capital stared at the pitch-black skies in the distance. They only had 7 people. How could they withstand the pressure? Qian Changrui's eyes darkened slightly as he said, "Fight. Even if I die, I must die happily." He made his choice in an instant. Rumble, 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 rumble. Thunder rumbled. Dense numbers of powerhouse flew towards Beast Control Hall, covering the sky and covering the sun. Like a thick black cloud pressing down, lightning flashed in the sky. Golden Armor War Hall, Law Enforcement Hall, Refining Branch, Alchemy Hall. Almost all the forces of the Tower Question of God sent out their powerhouses. Most of these people were because of Zhang Wushuang. Now, it was the majority of 9 secret warrior families' power. If Zhang Wushuang were to break through the 100th floor, maybe the entire Tower Question of God was under the control of the 9 secret warrior family, even the owner of Tower Question of God. Boom! With a loud sound, Golden Armor Elder let out a heavy roar. "Long Fei, get the hell out here to receive your death." Huh! Golden Armor Bodyguard's roar shook the air. Boom, boom, boom. The sky was raging, and the entire Beast Control Hall was violently trembling. The earth quaked, the mountains started to shake, and buildings started to collapse. Roar! A disciple summoned a giant golden python. Boom! Boom! The capital summoned its war beasts as well. Qian Changrui moved in the air and flew up, saying, "Beast Control Hall, follow me." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 6 of them followed Qian Changrui and flew into the air. Boom! The powerhouse of the Law Enforcement Hall descended and shouted, "Qian Changrui, get that bastard Long Fei out here." Die! Boom! A disciple of the Law Enforcement Hall shouted as his murderous roar shook the sky. "Get Long Fei out here to die. Let that beast die. Long Fei, come out and die." One voice after another exploded in the sky above the Beast Control Hall. One by one, the major powers rushed over. The black mass was like an army of 1,000,000 men. Qian Chengrui's mind was slightly unable to endure the pressure. He gritted his teeth and said with a heavy tone, "Long Fei has already left." Everyone shivered. His expression suddenly changed. Left, Golden Armor Elder exclaimed. Impossible. The Heavenly Palace's door has never been opened. He can't leave this place at all. Qin Changrui, you want to play tricks with me? Qin Changrui smiled faintly. It's true that the gates to the Heavenly Palace have never been opened, but he's Long Fei. You all simply do not understand the power he cultivates. After you ran away, he used his special power to leave the Tower Question of God. Don't waste your time. By this time, he had already escaped the Spirit Mountain range. Ha! No matter if Long Fei was alive or dead in the Forbidden Grounds, Qin Changrui still wanted to help him before he died. Maybe, this way, it could help Long Fei avoid a disaster. After all, he was facing the entire Tower Question of God. Impossible, absolutely impossible. The Tower Question of God is a secret world, and it can only leave from one place, the Heavenly Palace's gate. He absolutely cannot leave. The Golden Armor Elder said solemnly. However, he wasn't sure, because the power Long Fei was cultivating was indeed strange. He had not even seen many of them before. Law enforcement officials raised his right hand and made a grabbing motion, schwa. He made a grasping motion in the air. With a surge of power, he caught one of the disciples behind Qin Changrui in an instant, grabbed him by the neck, and raised him into the air, asking coldly, "Where is Long Fei?" That disciple's sea of consciousness and mind was completely crushed. His breathing became hurried, and he said with great difficulty, I don't know. Crack! A crisp sound rang out. His neck was shattered. Then, law enforcement officials grabbed one more disciple and laughed coldly. "Let me see how unafraid you all are of death. Speak. Where is that bastard Long Fei?" That disciple said heavily, "He is no longer in the Tower Question of Goddess." Crack. Law enforcement officials' gaze turned sinister as he said coldly, "You're toying with me? You think you're worthy?" He did not believe that Long Fei had already escaped from the Tower Question of God. Long Fei was definitely hiding somewhere. In that instant, the law enforcement hall grabbed him again. Boom! Holding the Imperial City in his hands, he shouted loudly, "Long Fei, get out here right now." At this moment, Long Fei's entire body was sweating like it was raining, and his mind felt like it was being sucked dry. And at that moment, the sweet voice of the system beep sounded. Ding! Chapter 1512. Giants, Gigantic Sabers, Gigantic Dragons. Chapter 1512. Giants, Gigantic Sabers, Gigantic Dragons. The sea of consciousness of colorful fairy dragon was extremely big. It was huge. In order to use the fitted soul technique, Long Fei had to tame him, otherwise he would not be able to use the body fusion technique. Boom! Long Fei's sea of consciousness released a rumbling sound. It was as if his soul, which had left the repellent body, had returned back into his body. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the new war pet, Colorful Fairy Dragon. Awesome! Long Fei's head was still buzzing nonstop, but he still shouted out loud in excitement. This is 2F** King Great, haha. The system sounded out again. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Colorful Fairy Dragon, for obtaining the system's special reward of 100 million experience, 3 million holy source, and 1 million points. The special reward items are the Colorful Ancient Blade. A colorful, large blade shining with a rainbow light floated in Long Fei's mind. The handle alone was 3,000 meters long. The blade was 2,000 meters long. The weight. Long Fei looked at that string of long numbers, and even his scalp felt somewhat numb. 160,000 kilograms? F***CK. How savage is this blade? Long Fei's brain wasn't even strong enough. 5,000 long, 160,000 pounds, even to the extent of defying the heavens. Weapon, colorful ancient blade, beast grade, none body length. 5,000 meters weight, 16,000 gene damage. Invincible description, forged from a rainbow godstone, Dragon Clan treasure. Description 2. Possessing the power of the Arceus region. Once triggered, the user is blasted into a special space. This space is known as the Arceus region. It can be suppressed in an instant. My darling, this. Long Fei was so excited that he was at a loss for words. Isn't it a bit too heaven-defying? Wouldn't it be unfair to others? Long Fei couldn't help it anymore. This weapon was simply too heaven-defying. Just its aura alone was enough to crush everything. And then, the colorful fairy dragon said lightly, "All right, I have already become your war pet. Whatever you want to do now, I will accompany you." Wait a moment. Long Fei heavily swallowed his saliva, looked at the colorful ancient blade, and said, "I'll give you a greeting gift. You'll definitely like it." The main artifact, Dragon Coffin, could not be given to him. The secret of this weapon was far more powerful than Long Fei had imagined. He thought that it would be as simple as a main artifact, but after hearing so much from the colorful fairy dragon, he felt that this main artifact was extraordinary. The colorful fairy dragon trembled and said slightly, "A greeting gift? What can you possibly have?" Honestly speaking, the colorful fairy dragon did not take Long Fei's gift seriously. He came from the divinity. What kind of things have you never seen before? What was inside the chaos realm was not even worth looking at. Seeing the contempt in his eyes, Long Fei suddenly laughed and said, "I won't give it to you right now. You'll definitely pee your pants when the time comes." The colorful fairy dragon laughed and did not mind. Even the main artifact Dragon Coffin was secretly shocked. There was still something in this world that could scare him to the point that he peed his pants? It was impossible. Long Fei did not say much. If he could use this blade, he really would not give it to the colorful fairy dragon, but he could not use it. Huff! Get out! Flipping tower question of God. The corner of Long Fei's mouth hooked up as he grinned widely. The idea moved. He stored the colorful fairy dragon in the war pet space. At this moment, the originally bustling war pet space instantly quieted down due to the appearance of the colorful fairy dragon, and all of them fearfully looked at this monster that was radiating a golden light in all 7 colors. Gods war beasts, bloody bull of underworld, swamp troll were monsters in themselves. But in their eyes, the colorful fairy dragon were the true monsters. Extreme fear. After a long time, the gods war beast stared at the bloody bull of underworld and looked at it several times. Finally, the bloody bull of underworld carefully said, "Lord God Dragon, we are all brothers. We have to be first come, first serve, so?" The colorful fairy dragon's eyes slightly opened. In that instant, the bloody bull of underworld curled up like a grandson. The colorful fairy dragon said, "Continue." The bloody bull of underworld's voice trembled and said, I mean you to be the boss here." The meaning had completely changed. The gods war beasts stared blankly, staring at the bloody bull of underworld. The bloody bull of underworld was afraid of the colorful fairy dragon, but he was not afraid of it, and said, "Second brother, it's useless staring at me like that. If you're capable, go say it yourself." The gods war beast grinned. With a fierce look on his face, he said, "Just say it. What is there to be afraid of?" The gigantic gods war beast raised its head to look at the colorful fairy dragon high up in the sky. It gulped down its saliva and said, "Lord Divine Dragon, everyone has to be told first come, first serve. You're the last one to come, so you have to call us Big Brother." Before he could finish his words, the colorful fairy dragon's voice turned cold and asked, "What did you say? I didn't hear you clearly." The gods war beast's body was trembling, and it almost peed its pants from the sound of the voice. It immediately said, "I'm saying you're here to be our boss." The bloody bull of underworld immediately looked over in disdain. Tisk. The same was true for the other giant demons. They had thought that the gods war beast would be able to help them become the big brother of the rainbow god power, but they were shocked by a single sentence. The gods war beast grinned. "Blood Seller, what are you looking down on? Are you the same?" The Blood Seller laughed innocently and said, "Heavenly King, you are also cowardly." The gods war beasts did not speak. In front of the colorful fairy dragon, they were like little guys, raising their heads when they spoke. The colorful fairy dragon ignored him and closed his eyes slightly. In his heart, however, he was a little worried because the moment he appeared, it would set off a powerful reaction. The man who had been after him. Those mysterious powers are still here. Could she still be looking for him? No matter what, since he had decided to follow Long Fei out, then he would make all the preparations. Huff! The colorful fairy dragon let out a heavy breath and thought in her heart, Brat, Hope, don't let me down. I can't take on the heavy responsibility of the Dragon Clan's rise. I hope you can take on the banner of the Dragon Clan. I will do everything I can to help you reach the pinnacle of the world. Speak. Where is that bastard Long Fei? The law enforcement hall lifted the imperial city into the air with a savage expression and a strong killing intent in their eyes. Wang Cheng laughed, spitting out a mouthful of phlegm as he said, Even if I knew, I still wouldn't tell you. Kill me. Ha! Law enforcement officials' eyes turned sinister as his joints exploded. He said solemnly, You're courting death. The capital burst into laughter. Come on. Boom. The aura around law enforcement officials suddenly exploded as his left hand formed a claw, swiping towards Royal City's head. At this moment, a flash of light descended. Chapter 15:13. One Man Overturning All Things. Chapter 15:13. One man overturning all things rumble. A loud sound rang out in the sky as a human figure descended. It landed less than 2 meters away from law enforcement officials. At this moment, Wang Cheng's eyes darkened and said, Big brother Long Fei. Law enforcement officials gave an excited sneer. Long Fei, you finally came out. Amidst his laughter, his left hand still reached out to grab the capital's head. Shua! Long Fei's body suddenly exploded. Clenching his right hand, a ball of blazing flames appeared in his hand. Without saying a word, he fiercely slashed downwards. Heaven exterminating, severing. The sun god authentic artifacts flames burned. Law enforcement officials' expression changed as he roared. You think you can hurt me? Power of the golden god. Open. Boom. Both of his arms instantly turned gold like gold. If Long Fei wanted to stop him, the more he wanted to kill, the more ferocious the power in his fingers became. Boom. It furiously slashed down. The Hellfire Lotus in Long Fei's mind also moved. The sun god idea exploded. Rumble. Rumble. Both of his arms were cut off, blood spewing everywhere. Law enforcement officials screamed like a pig being butchered. Ah! Long Fei took the opportunity to pull the imperial city over and said, You retreat first. As soon as he finished, Long Fei waved the sword of destroy in his hand. Injured you? I want your life. Boom. The blazing flames burned the sky, causing a loud sound. Without waiting for law enforcement officials to react, he swung his sword down. Brat, you dare. Stop. The surrounding elders roared in anger. Wanting Long Fei to stop? That was impossible. How could a duckling whose mouth was close let him fly? However, in that instant, 8 figures attacked like ghosts from behind law enforcement officials. The 8 great elders of the law enforcement hall combined their might and struck Xiang Longfei with their palms. Buzz. Crack. The sky seemed like it was about to split open. The sword of destroy trembled, and even Long Fei's body was not able to withstand the pressure and was sent flying back. His palm split open and his entire arm went numb. 8 figures descended. 8 white-haired and white-browed elders were protecting law enforcement officials, and their eyes were fixed on Long Fei. The eyes of the 8 were filled with shock. They were not dead yet. With both of his arms crippled, law enforcement officials was in so much pain that his entire body was covered in cold sweat. Kill him. It was too hard. The power of his golden body was severed. His 2 arms could no longer be reattached. The anger in his heart soared. He was determined to kill Long Fei to vent the hatred in his heart. Law enforcement officials ordered. Golden Armor Elder immediately shouted, Kill them. Golden Armor Bodyguard shouted at the same time, and everyone rushed at Xiang Longfei. The other disciples and elders were the same, all rushing towards Xiang Longfei. Qian Changrui shouted out and said, Beast Control Hall, Disciple, Charge. Although there were only 3 people left, their momentum was not inferior in the slightest. Only, Long Fei said lightly, "All of you stay at the side and watch. I'll go deal with them myself." Qin Changrui was startled. "Brat, you are too arrogant. You're going to deal with all of us by yourself? Ha ha ha. Even if you have 1,000,000 lives today, it still won't be enough. Only a brat like you who doesn't know your place? You overestimate yourself. There are too many people, even though there are no saints among the God's Tower, but they could be said to be the peak powerhouse of this plane. No one dared say that a single person could resist it." Long Fei stood there, and the corners of his mouth revealed the eerie and sinister smile of a death god as he muttered to himself, "How much experience is this? And how many energy values is this? I've never gotten to level 10 Berserk. Let's see if there's a chance today." Long Fei was excited. Incomparable excitement. Causing trouble. And it had to be big. If you overturn a power, then you will be uprooted. Long Fei's eyes darkened and said excitedly, "All of you will die." Boom! Bang! With a loud noise, a strange laughing monster rushed out from Warpet space. I'll let you guys have a taste of what it means to be unable to extricate yourselves. 10,000 miles out in the swamp. Poison Flame Prairie. Buzz. Rumble. There was a loud sound in the air, and Swamp Troll rushed out first. The power on his body suddenly exploded, and a swamp that blotted out the sky appeared out of thin air. It floated in the sky. They instantly entangled a large group of people. Venom. Swamp Binding. The disciple who was trapped in the swamp was engulfed within a few seconds, producing a series of green bubbles. At this time, the system beep S in Long Fei's mind rang crazily. Ding, ding, ding. It's the Swamp Troll. It's the giant demon that had been in the Beast Control Hall's forbidden grounds for more than 1,000 years. Swamp Troll. The few elders' voices sunk. They did not panic at all. The golden light around one of the elders grew brighter as he growled, 10,000 arts, giant shield. Sky Tree Barrier. Open. Buzz. A golden barrier appeared and covered the swamp, blocking all of the poisonous gas in the swamp. All disciples heed my orders. Stand on the barrier. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, it reacted instantly, and all of them flew to the protective screen. The poisonous gas of the swamp troll was completely suppressed. At this moment, rumble. Sky Tree Barrier. Let me show you the power of my god's hammer. An explosive roar. In the sky, a huge shadow descended from the sky. It held a gigantic war hammer in its hand, and it hacked down heavily like an axe. Layer by layer, space split apart. A critical strike. Rumble. It directly sent a large number of disciples flying, and the area under the hammer became even more muddy. The Sky Tree Barrier instantly shattered, and countless disciples fell down. The swamp troll grinned. Huh. Third brother is awesome. An elder's face turned ugly. Another monster-level beast? Damn it. How many monsters did he tame? Don't care about those beasts. As long as you kill Long Fei, everything will be over. Go kill Long Fei. The appearance of the 2 war beasts only slightly disrupted the pace of their attack, but did not scare them. These elders were all experienced fighters. They were very clear that as long as they could kill Long Fei, all of these war beasts would die. Boom! Boom! Several powerful clan elders' figures moved like ghosts, instantly dodging the swamp troll and their attacks and attacking Xiang Long Fei. Long Fei, give me your life. Go to hell. Long Fei stood where he was without moving and laughed disdainfully. You want me to die? Just you guys. Before he could finish, the elder's attack landed in the blink of an eye, but when his attack was just half a meter away from Long Fei, the Tong Tian beast suddenly appeared. Hugging both of its fists, it smashed its fist onto the head of that elder, as if it was knocking on a wooden pillar. Crack! The elder's head was split open. Instantly killed. Long Fei laughed arrogantly. Who else? Chapter 1514. Long Fei is an abnormal boss. Chapter 1514. Long Fei is an abnormal boss. Who else? F asterisk CK. You want to kill your father? I just want to say, please continue. Ha ha. Long Fei laughed out arrogantly. At this moment, Long Fei felt like he had become a big boss. All of them wanted to kill him. It felt good to be the big boss. Boom! A massive explosion. The 8 elders instantly leapt into the air. Swoosh! He vanished into thin air. However, after a few seconds, boom, 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 the air exploded as the 8 supreme powerhouse were all blown away by a powerful force, landing not too far away from Long Fei's body. Void blink. Long Fei grinned. In front of the Bemin large monster, you guys are nothing but dregs in the air. Long Fei had realized this from the very beginning. These powerhouse were all too powerful. They had many divine powers that Long Fei didn't know of. If they had come from the sky above, Long Fei wouldn't have been able to defend himself. However, the Bemin large monster came from the void. In the void, he was the king. One of the 8 grand elders said in a low voice, "Even if we fail to traverse through the void, we will still be unable to do so. This distance is already enough." Boom! The 8 of them linked up with Idea and attacked Xiang Longfei from 8 directions. The corner of Long Fei's mouth raised slightly, such a fast speed, but boom! The Lava Beast King, filled with rage, slammed into one of the Grand Elders and sent him flying thousands of meters away. At the same moment, boom, 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 7 consecutive explosions rang out, and the 8 great elders of the law enforcement hall were all sent flying. The 8 gigantic beasts stood in 8 different directions from Long Fei. These fellows were all giant demons of the forbidden area. A fiendish demon. Qian Changrui was dumbstruck. He seemed to have become an idiot as he muttered. Did he tame all the giant beasts that were imprisoned in the forbidden grounds? The entire imperial city was also stunned as he said, I don't know either. All I know is that he entered every forbidden area, and other than the Dragon Clan Master's forbidden area, none of the other secret worlds have lasted more than an hour. Oh my god! Qian Changrui was shocked to the core. He could be considered a person who had experienced a lot and would never change when faced with anything. He was so shocked that he couldn't take care of himself. In less than an hour, a giant demon from the forbidden area? Just what kind of beast mastery does he cultivate? Unimaginable. He is a monster. Qian Changrui looked at Long Fei's motionless back and was truly terrified by Long Fei. They're all giant demons of the forbidden area. He tamed all the giant demons of the forbidden area? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Some of the elders felt their scalps go numb. Those 8 fiendish giant demons explained everything. Long Fei was a monster. Moreover, it was a freak-level monster. No one in the history of Tower Question of God had been able to do this. This guy was too terrifying. Law enforcement officials shouted, "It doesn't matter how many trolls he tames. As long as we kill him, all of these trolls will die." Long Fei was like the mother of all the beasts. If the progenitor dies, all these super war beasts will die. All of the powerhouses calmed down and immediately agreed. Law enforcement officials is right, kill Long Fei, and everything will be over. Golden Armor Bodyguard, lead the way. He only has a few war beasts. As long as we can stall him, we don't believe that we won't be able to kill him. Instantly, Golden Armor Bodyguard rushed over. Behind them, many powerful elders also rushed forward. Just as they had said, the giant demon was entangled and was unable to escape. Their abilities were indeed strong, but there were too many of them. They were always fighting and didn't even give them a chance. Over a dozen elders, who were mixed in the crowd, charged towards Xiang Longfei in that instant. "Give me your life. Die!" A dozen or so elders suddenly took action. Their strength, an imposing manner, formed a might comparable to the heavens, heavily suppressing Long Fei's body, causing Long Fei's body to sink slightly. It was a little hard to bear. However, Long Fei still stood in place without moving an inch. He's been crushed. Ha! Kill him, kill him. Long Fei, you dog, go to hell, huh? Law enforcement officials laughed out loud in excitement. Long Fei was about to die. At this moment, a disciple suddenly reminded, Don't Long Fei still have another beast of hell? Why hasn't he come out yet? Law enforcement officials was slightly stunned. Without waiting for him to react, a ball of dark arrogance came rushing out. A pair of flaming eyes stared at him from within the dark arrogance, and an incomparably huge bloody bull of underworld rushed out. Buzz! A loud sound echoed out. The clock of hell's voice came out. The bell rang, and the grim reaper descended. The aura of the Nether King blood cellar exploded. Boom, boom, boom. The dark arrogance was like a wave of energy wave, being catalyzed by the clock of hell. The death god scythe was harvesting crazily. The dozen or so elders near Long Fei were instantly smashed into smithereens by the clock of hell's power, exploding into mist of blood. And then, within a radius of 5 kilometers, other than Long Fei's men, none of the disciples or elders survived. They were all dead, dead to the point of not even having a scrap left. Strong performance. The bloody bull of underworld roared. You dare to touch my boss? Who the F*CK wants to try moving another one? The gigantic clock of hell in his hands was still spinning. This aura was like that of God. The audience suddenly quieted down. Law enforcement officials' scalp was going numb. Beasts rushed out one after another. These were all abnormal monsters, and Long Fei was the biggest abnormal monster. He couldn't bear it. His heart felt like it was about to explode. Qian Chenrui muttered, I only know that beasts of hell are strong, but I never knew that he was strong to this extent. Furthermore, where did the clock of hell in his hands come from? The imperial city muttered, He's too amazing. Long Fei is too amazing. He's practically my idol. Long Fei grinned, looked at the incomparably gigantic bloody bull of underworld, and said slightly, Aren't you a little too abnormal? The bloody bull of underworld gave a silly laugh and said, Boss, I still have another big move that I haven't used yet. Hearing the 2 words big move, Long Fei naturally thought of Xiao Bai, and when he thought of those unbearable scenes, he immediately said, As long as you have this kind of power, you don't need to use any big move. He was truly afraid that he would produce a fart or a pile of *T. Then it's true. In the distance, 6 St. Presbyter S stood in midair. 3 years of time. I never would have thought that he would have grown to such a stage. No wonder the young lord wanted him dead. One of the elders laughed. 4th elder, let's not talk too much. Right now, it's our turn to go on stage. End him. Chapter 15:15, Saint S Attack. Chapter 15:15, Saint S Attack, a massacre. Long Fei's beast army swept across. The system beep flew into the air. Energy striking value had also risen rapidly. The sky-swallowing rat continued to eat the items that dropped, while Long Fei continued to exchange points. Ding! Energy filled. Current energy level, 82. From time to time, 1 or 2 ancient spiritual artifacts would appear, and their energy levels would also continuously increase. It could be seen that the higher the energy level of the golden cudgel, the thicker the energy emitted. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A sky-shaking explosion. The explosive power of these freakish war beasts was simply too powerful. Oh my god. Boss Long Fei really managed to fend off tens of thousands of Tower Question of God by himself. This is too terrifying, isn't it? The entire capital fell into a state of disbelief. But everything in front of him was the truth. The imperial city said excitedly, Boss Long Fei is mighty. If this goes on, all of these armies will be crushed. Qian Chenrui, however, was not as optimistic. Instead, his brows tightly knitted as he said, The most powerful aspect of Tower Question of God is not these powers hall. He looked at the golden tower that was floating in the sky and muttered, I hope the Saint Presbyter of the Tower Question of God does not intervene, if not. The strongest Tower Question of Goddess were the powerful Saint Presbyter S among the God's Tower. The divine powers that the Saint S were cultivating with were the strongest 100 people here. They were too strong. Moreover, the Tower Question of God itself was an extremely strong existence. The royal city was stunned, and its expression darkened. Kill. Crush them all. Long Fei did not want to let any of them go. If he wanted to do it, he had to pull them out by the roots. The sun flipped. Suddenly, the sky suddenly darkened. It was as if all the light in the world was instantly sucked out. Buzz. An ear-piercing buzzing sound was heard. Rumble. 6 golden and dazzling human figures floated above Long Fei's head, and one the saint bellowed, "Long Fei, have you had enough trouble?" The light wasn't drawn out. It was absorbed by the 6 rays of golden light, covering everything. Saint, the boss of the tower question of God. The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back as he laughed excitedly. "We're finally out. Causing trouble? Do I look like I've had enough?" Long Fei sneered, seeing the golden light on their bodies. He couldn't help but become excited. God's tower boss would definitely drop a lot of good items. It just so happened that at the stage of the sky swallowing rats' true growth, they needed nutrition. In this period of time, the sky swallowing rats level had also skyrocketed. From its original rank of 3 to the current level of 18, it needed even more powerful holy artifact nourishment. These glittering saint were the best source of nutrition. "How dare you?" A saint shouted loudly. "Long Fei, you killed innocents and committed an unforgivable sin within the tower question of God. This time, even with the divine compass medallion, you won't be saved." Long Fei coldly replied, "If you want to kill me, then say you want to kill me. Killing me innocent? Are these people innocent? Aren't these people your cannon fodder? Zhang Wushuang's henchmen? Are they not innocent? All of them are here for my life. Is such a person innocent? Stop talking. Come on. This old man has always wanted to know the power of all you bullsh, *T saint." Long Fei moved his right hand, and the sword of destroy immediately combusted. The fire god sword aura combined with the overbearing aura of the magmatic fruit. Sword chi, domineering. Explosions rang out in the air. Those golden armor bodyguard who were slightly closer to Long Fei could not bear it all, and were instantly shaken by the aura that erupted from Long Fei's body until they fell into a dazed state, and were instantly knocked over by the war beasts as well. It was also at this moment. The bloody bull of Underworld drew closer to Long Fei and warned in a low voice, "Boss, these old fellows' strengths aren't simple. Saint, the group of people with the strongest tower question of God. They controlled the tower question of God and absorbed the densest amount of divine power. Their cultivation bases were terrifying to the extreme." "Humph!" One of the saints sneered with his eyes wide open. Then his figure disappeared. Without giving Long Fei any time to react at all, he instantly landed in front of Long Fei, formed a seal with his 2 palms, and smashed down heavily. Heavenly seal palm. Rumble. Both palms pushed out, striking Long Fei's chest. At this moment, a huge divine imprint appeared in the sky and pressed down heavily. Double pincer attack. Under the divine light, Long Fei was like a wooden stake that had been nailed in place, unable to move at all. Xiao Luo divine body, open. Boom. As it was his last resort, Long Fei could only passively defend. The sound of metal colliding rang out, and a thick Shura's life armor appeared on Long Fei's body. Rumble. As the 2 energies poured in, the Azura armor on Long Fei's chest began to crack and shatter instantly. The divine seal above his head came crashing down, directly smashing Long Fei, who was in mid-air down. Rumble. A huge crater formed from the impact of the impact, like a meteor hitting the ground, causing the entire Beast Control Hall to tremble violently. Ha! Ha! Law enforcement officials laughed loudly. "Long Fei, you're so arrogant. You're just a pile of dog shit, and in front of Holy Saint. You scum!" This attack was full of resentment. Many disciples and elders clamored. "Long Fei, are you feeling good? Aren't you arrogant?" Again, why was I stomped by Holy Saint in one move? "You dog, get up again." The war beasts in the battle circle also quietly sank into the pit. The battle suddenly stopped. Everyone looked at the crater that was filled with sand. The saint sneered. "You dare to show off your strength here? Who do you think you are? You still want to oppose Lord Wushuang? What qualifications do you have? Suddenly, without waiting for him to finish, the dust in the deep hole was crushed by a stream of power. Long Fei stood up. Blood hung from the corner of his mouth as he lightly wiped the blood off. However, I like your divine seal. It's mine now. It hurts. But Long Fei felt even more excited. This meant that this boss was strong enough, and the God Seal's God Light had bound him. This was a treasure, since it was a good item. How could he let go? Long Fei laughed excitedly, his eyes slightly raised as he stared at the Saint Presbyter in midair, and suddenly said, "Bloody bull of underworld." Moo! The blood cellar roared. Then, Long Fei placed his hand on it, and said with a heavy tone, "Fitted soul, open." Chapter 15:16. The Profound Truths of the Blood Cellar, Big Bullet. Chapter 15:16. The Profound Truths of the Blood Cellar, Big Bullet. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. The world seemed to have collapsed. All of the energy from the bloody bull of underworld surged into Long Fei's body. At this moment, Long Fei could only fuse his own energy with the bloody bull of underworld's energy. Power exploded in his body. This feeling, strong enough to explode. Everything was completed in an instant. Shua! Long Fei's footsteps shook, and he instantly rushed into the sky, one hand holding a clock of hell, the other holding a sword of destroy. "It's my turn." The clock of hell knocked. Wong. As the bell tolled, the power of the Nether King Realm's saint artifact erupted. The bell tolled, disturbing the minds of everyone present. In their minds, many dark arrogance began to move. Fire! The clock of hell flew up in an instant. Long Fei held the sword with both of his hands and said solemnly, "Come." 1,800 slashes of light. The flames which burned the sky above the sword of destroy slashed through the air in a berserk fashion, its speed extremely fast, as if streaks of lightning were tearing through the air. Within a second, the light-speed sword was unleashed to its limits, and all 1,800 slashes were slashed down. The Saint Presbyter's eyes darkened. The golden light around his body exploded. His body turned into a golden body as he disdainfully sneered, "With this kind of attack, it wouldn't even harm me at all." Possession of the golden body. Just like how Long Fei had obtained the effect of Central Asia hourglass in the god's martial continent. Every slash that landed on his body was an MIS, unable to inflict the slightest bit of damage. This was the golden body obtained from cultivating the divine light. His defense was unparalleled. Ha! A lowly existence like an ant. You think you can contend against Tower Question of God? Who gave you the courage? Ha ha! Long Fei, did you enjoy it? So what if I fuse with Bloody Bull of Underworld? It's completely useless, right? Ha ha! Many of the elders began to mock him. The Bloody Bull of Underworld had fused with it, but could not unleash any of its power. That was a Bloody Bull of Underworld. Is it no use at all? Or could it be? Saint's cultivation was above all else. No matter how strong Long Fei was, he would not be able to contend. If it was an ordinary fighter, it would be true. These Saint cultivate godly power. Ordinary warriors only train the most ordinary power of Chaos Realm. How could he resist? Long Fei was naturally different. That saint laughed coldly and said, "You dog, you can't even harm a single hair on my head. This is the difference between you and me. This is the difference between you and me, and also the difference between you and young Master Wushuang, understand?" The corner of Long Fei's mouth curved up as he looked at the sky and laughed coldly. "You sure?" "Heh." Suddenly, a disciple reminded him. A black shadow has descended from the sky. Clock of Hell. It's the Clock of Hell that he just threw into the sky. Forget about Clock of Hell S. Even his power is useless. Long Fei, you're too weak. Who will be worried? No one would worry. The previous move had been crushed, and now that the 1,800 slashes of the light speed sword did not have the slightest effect, what use could it have? Long Fei and Saint were simply not on the same level. They couldn't be matched at all. The Saint did not care about the Clock of Hell above him either, and sneered, "You dog, you still don't understand? In our eyes, you are just an ant. I just need a squeeze." The moment he said that, his idea moved. Suddenly, his gaze suddenly sank. At this time, Long Fei grinned. Say it. What's wrong with a light pinch? Continue. The saint's expression changed greatly because his body suddenly stopped moving. What's going on? The golden light on his body frantically struggled and attacked. But his body was still immobilized. Just like how Long Fei had been bound by the divine light of the divine seal, he couldn't move at all. Saint's face was gloomy as he said, Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Your strength can't harm me in the slightest. It's impossible to restrain me. Speak. What did you do, kid? Everything happened too quickly, and there was no time to react at all. Everyone looked at Long Fei with dumbstruck expressions. Could it be the power of the Clock of Hell? That's not right. Clock of Hell's power is attack-type power, so it's unable to cause any restrictions. What could that be? Long Fei didn't do anything. He only displayed a sword technique. That's sword technique. In the distance, the eyes of Saint shook. With a move of his power, his eyes turned gold, and with a glance, his heart trembled. Sword chi. Line up. How is this possible? No one has been able to cultivate the sword art to such an extent. No one, Saint at the side immediately asked. What's the situation? The Saint said. The first floor is covered in thin threads. These threads are the threads of sword chi, able to seal a person's strange meridians and tightly bind a person. This kind of sword technique is something that no one in Chaos Realm has ever comprehended. Sword chi line. I've never heard of it. The few elders were stupefied. They had never heard of this sword intent. The golden-eyed Saint said softly, This child's attainment in sword arts has already surpassed all the sword intent in the entire Chaos Realm. His talent in sword arts. He's the strongest person I've ever met. Sword chi line. Long Fei did not know, but from the very beginning, he had never thought of using 1,800 slashes of light to kill Saint. Instead, he used the fusion of sword chi and domineering aura to form a powerful binding force that trapped him. However, he had not expected that this was the profound meaning of sword techniques. What bullshit, sword chi? So what? The first level of Saint cultivates the power of divine light. Even if they are restricted, so what? It couldn't hurt him at all. Exactly. Divine light body. Is it only based on Long Fei's power? It's not enough at all. Binding was useless. Long Fei's power could not harm him, because they were Saint. A Saint with heaven-defying defense. The Saint who was trapped said sinisterly, Long Fei, so what if you have trapped me? Your strength is so great that you can't even tickle me. Long Fei did not speak, he only chuckled. At this moment, buzz! The Clock of Hell fell down. It directly enveloped the Saint. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Buzz, buzz. Saint bellowed out. Even with this damn broken bell, it can't hurt me. Can't do anything to you? Long Fei sneered, his body jumping. He landed on top of the Clock of Hell and used a lot of strength. Boom! The top of the Clock of Hell was removed by Long Fei, and a hole appeared. Looking at the Saint below him, Long Fei grinned and said, The Clock of Hell can't deal with you, but this megaphone, In that instant, Long Fei erupted the power of the bloody bull of underworld in his body. He growled at the speaker, Moo. Chapter 1517. The Death of a Level 1 Saint. Burst of a Level 1 God's Tower. Chapter 1517. The Death of a Level 1 Saint. Burst of a Level 1 God's Tower. Clock of Hell. Super profound. Bullet. I created it myself. Long Fei roared. The bloody bull of underworld blew straight into the horn. Moo. The bison howled. At this time, it drilled into his heart and lungs. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Gigantic sonic waves exploded in the air. Rings after rings were visible to the naked eye. These were even sonic waves of darkness. Bam! One of the golden armor bodyguard's eardrums exploded, causing his internal organs to erode. Bam! Another disciple bled from his 7 orifices. Bang, bang, bang. Immediately after, many of the golden armor bodyguards' bodies, all exploded into a cloud of blood mist. They could not withstand the power of the big trumpet at all. Ah, ah, ah. The surrounding area was filled with the wails and howls of ghosts. They hugged their ears and struggled at death's door, and even those elders could not endure it as they rolled on the ground, crying out loudly. They were thousands of meters away from Long Fei. None of them could bear it. Then, in the saint below the clock of hell, there was no sound at all, to die or to live. Everyone looked over. Long Fei moved the idea and lifted it up, only to see a bloodied person sitting there with a dim golden light on his body. Zhang Xian's eyes trembled. His body was also trembling violently. His mouth trembled as he said, "Save me, save me, save me." He instantly looked like a fool. Moreover, he could not hear sound. There were only a few hundred health points left. The damage dealt by the megaphone just now. Long Fei looked at the total amount of HP above his head and smiled. A critical strike with 1 billion HP. Awesome. It was almost instantly killed. An extremely terrifying existence. Long Fei grinned. "Aren't you arrogant? I thought I couldn't do anything to you?" "Huh. Come, come, come. Let me see you act smug again." He simply could not hear what Long Fei was saying. Seeing Long Fei's mouth move, he kneeled on the ground in shock and said, "Long Fei, let me go. Let me, I won't dare to do it again." In that instant, the pain he had experienced was unimaginable. His willpower and spiritual force had all collapsed. That feeling was too unbearable. Also, anyone would be afraid of death. Even the saint among Tower Question of God S was the same. Long Fei laughed and said, "Are you begging now? Do you think I'll let you go?" As soon as he finished, Long Fei's gaze turned, staring at the 5 saintess below him, and shouted, "Those who block me die." Sky-swallowing rat. Creak, bang. With a loud noise, the sky-swallowing rat rushed out and instantly swallowed the saint down. Only a miserable scream could be heard in the air. "Save me." Crack. Then there was no more sound. And then, 2 system notifications sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to the player Long Fei for leveling up his war pet Sky-swallowing rat. Current level 19. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up from the war pet Sky-swallowing rat to level 20. The nutrition of a saint made the Sky-swallowing rat level up continuously 2 levels. It really was a good nutrition. The moment the Sky-swallowing rat swallowed Saint's body, the entire world became quiet. Everyone looked at Long Fei as if he was a monster, at the Sky-swallowing rat that was licking its lips. In the last 10,000 years, this was the first time Saint was killed. Furthermore, he was killed in fairyland of Tower Question of God. Buzz! In the distance, the Tower Question of God in the sky released an explosive sound, and immediately after, the tower body fell. Rumble! Dust exploded out. Golden light burst out as well. An elder shouted, "The first layer of the Tower Question of God has collapsed." At this moment, the system beeped. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for destroying the first layer of Tower Question of God. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering the quest. Quest: Destroy the Tower Question of God. Level: SSS class time. 1 year reward. 1-star Godhood SX1. Level 10 Berserk level once. Special item Heaven and Earth Melting Furnace X1. Obtain the right to enter Ancient Holy Battlefield. F*CK. The quest has been triggered. This should be the strongest mission in Chaos Realm, right? Long Fei's heart secretly tensed up, and seeing the task reward, his blood boiled again. I've already calculated everything else, but what is this world melting furnace? Based on your name, could it be a furnace that can refine the heavens and the earth? F*CK. If that's the case, then this is awesome. Overturn everything. Even if there was no mission, Long Fei would destroy it layer by layer. 100 levels, 100 bosses. How could he let them go? However, what Long Fei did not expect was that after killing the first layer of Saint, he would explode the second layer of the Tower Question of God. It was like poking a hornet's nest. The Saint that was in charge of the Tower Question of God all flew out in unison. Watching the 100 layers of Tower Question of God become 99 meant that someone was challenging the Tower Question of God. Who is it? Who had the guts to eat the bare heart leopard? Who is it? The collapse of the first layer of God's tower affected the remaining 90% of the 9-story heaven. In the 90th tower, Zhan Wushuang's forehead tightened. He had a feeling that the fall of the God's tower was Long Fei's ultimate move, but he was also sneering, who isn't easy to kill? It has to be said that the Saint that killed the Tower Question of God had linked these God's tower to them. I don't even know this. Long Fei is overestimating you. This is good as well. This time, you don't need me to do anything. You won't be able to take it. More than 90 Saints attacked. Long Fei, you can't escape this calamity. Master, what happened? Amongst the God's Tower on the 96th floor, Xin Yuanlier also felt the sudden fall of the God's Tower as a powerful energy overflowed. The Saint on the 96th floor said faintly, "Cultivate in peace. You don't need to worry about other things." He couldn't let Xin Yuanlier be distracted. This was what Zhan Wushuang had instructed her to do. Xin Yuanlier softly replied, and thought in his heart, "Big brother Long Fei, is that you? You also entered the Tower Question of God. Big brother Long Fei. Lear misses you so much." God's tower linked to Saint. Saint had fallen, and a layer of God's tower had ruptured. Saint was angry. Long Fei did not expect things to become so huge, but he felt quite good. Level 1 and Level 1, this timing is really good. Long Fei, with a furious roar. The remaining 5 Saints were enraged beyond belief. They never imagined that Long Fei would dare to kill Saint. They were all going crazy. Long Fei laughed excitedly. Continue. 1518, 5 blast explosion. 1518, 5 blast explosion. Continue. Level 1 exploded. Even without entering the tower, he still charged at the Tower Question of God. Would Long Fei stop doing such a good thing? This is too arrogant. A Saint suddenly moved. Both his fists exploded. Wong. A loud sound echoed out. His figure disappeared at an unimaginable speed. Long Fei also could not see that the power of the Saint was too much beyond his expectations, but he could not see it either. He was not afraid, because his current strength, flesh, and health point were all not his original state. He had merged with the bloody bull of Underworld, and his health point, body defense, and strength all reached the peak of the bloody bull of Underworld. Boom! The gods were beasts bellowed loudly. Boss, be careful. The Beast King Question of God also roared out, be careful. Long Fei, die. The void suddenly split open as a golden beam of light struck down. A golden fist shadow descended from the void. Long Fei did not move. Speed. He couldn't keep up, but in terms of physical body, defense, and health point of over 30 billion, even if he was a powerhouse, he still wouldn't be able to match up to Long Fei. Buzz! His body slightly lowered as he heavily shouted, "Come on!" Boom, boom. The punch was as sharp as a missile. A damage of over 80 million yuan instantly floated up above his head. It looked as if it was exploding on the surface, and the bloody bull of Underworld skin was extremely tough to defend against. Even so, she had still blasted out over 80 million yuan of her damage. If not for the bloody bull of Underworld, Long Fei's 10 lives would have been instantly killed. However, with more than 3 billion health point, a mere 80 million was nothing. To Long Fei, this kind of injury was equivalent to scratching an itch, and his body was motionless. Furthermore, the moment that Saint's fist landed, Long Fei's right hand swept across it. Bam! Grabbing hold of Saint, he moved his right fist. Damn, it's my turn. Hades' fist. Boom! The strength of the bloody bull of Underworld on his right arm surged and surged. Before the Saint could react, he punched it out. Boom! Golden light radiated in all directions. The Saint turned to the side, his expression cold. Long Fei moved his body, and before the saint could fly out, he threw another punch back. Bam! 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 After dozens of consecutive punches, the saint's eyes released a golden light. Suddenly, Long Fei's body sank down, and his knees struck the saint's chest. Cross attack. Boom! It directly hit the ground, both fists moving at the same time, bombarding Saint's face in a frenzy. Ah! What the F asterisk CK, bang, bang, bang. The gash on the top of his head quickly revealed the bottom of his body. The strength of the bloody bull of Underworld and Long Fei themselves exploded outwards, striking again and again and again and again and again and again. Saint was completely unable to resist it. In a short half a minute, he hugged his fists and smashed them on top of Saint's head like a hammer. Buzz! Crack! The head was shattered, and blood spurted out. At this moment, the system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Saint of the second floor for obtaining 100 million experience points, 100 million holy source points, and 10 energy values points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Divine Seal Fist. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Rotary King Bloodvein. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Ancient Spiritual Artifact. Ding! Energy level complete. Current energy level, 84. Kill. At this moment. Rumble. 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 The Golden God's Tower released another series of explosions, causing the second layer of God's Tower to crumble. The Tower Question of God descended another level, and this time, even more Saint were shocked. The second level of God's Tower had shattered. Long Fei raised his bloodied fists, looked at one of the Saint in the sky, and coldly said, "Continue. Arrogant. Extreme arrogance. Either not, or just roll over and kill him." The other four Saints were enraged. Long Fei grinned and said, "Why are you calling her father?" Ah. A furious roar, boom, boom, boom. The three Saints rushed down together. From three directions, Xiang Long Fei instantly attacked from three different directions. The golden light shone brightly, and two Saints were killed by Long Fei in a row. If this continued, the Tower Question of God's foundation would become unstable. Moreover, if the higher-ups knew about this, they would not be able to escape death. Boss! The gods' war beasts roared. Long Fei's idea immediately moved and said, "Don't come over here." It was fine to deal with ordinary powerhouse, but their power was not enough to deal with holy rank powerhouse, because their power was also the power that ordinary warriors cultivated in. Even though the gods' war beast's current cultivation level was semi-realistic realm, it had not reached the god power level. After coming down from the previous battlefield, the god power in his body had been drained. It was completely incomparable to these Saint Presbyters. Long Fei gave a cold laugh. "Why don't the three of you take care of it together? Then let's do it." He wasn't afraid in the slightest. With 30 billion health point, who was there to be afraid of? The bloody bull of Underworld's name was called. Boom, boom, boom. With three loud bangs, Long Fei did not try to defend himself and directly used his flesh to block the attacks of the three people. His health point immediately decreased by 500 million, and his heart sank a little. Indeed, at the first level of Saint, the strength of second level can only cause around 80 million damage to me, but these three Saints can deal over 500 million damage. Your strength has increased quite a bit. However, Long Fei raised both his eyes, let out a loud shout, and said, "With your strength, you're not even enough." Boom! A ray of dark arrogance energy merged with Long Fei's own Hellfire Lotus energy and erupted. Dark flame. He directly shot out. Long Fei's right hand struck down hard on the clock of hell. Hades' bell. Boom, boom, boom. With a burst of power, a gigantic simulacrum of the King of Hell rose from Long Fei's body. He grabbed the clock of hell and fiercely smashed it down. Boom! The amount of blood on the head of a saint instantly reached the bottom. Instant kill. Ding! The system beep rang. The God's Tower at the third level let out a loud noise. Rumble. Crack. Long Fei didn't care about it. He turned to the side and attacked with another clock of hell. Buzz! Boom! Yet another Saint Presbyter was killed instantly. Rumble! The god's tower at the 4th level let out a loud rumble. Crack! This was the first time in his life that he had felt fear in his heart and felt the arrival of death. In that instant, he ran. He instantly fled 1,000 miles in an instant. However, the moment he escaped, an anger arose between Long Fei's brows. Boom! The gigantic simulacrum of the king of hell grabbed onto the clock of hell and pierced through the void with one hand, right in front of the saint. The clock of hell covered the ground like a black hole. You want to escape? Do you agree? Die. Chapter 1519, Tower Question of God Tower Master Arena. Chapter 1519, Tower Question of God Tower Master Arena. If you act tough, then don't even think about leaving. When the clock of hell covered him, it was like a ladle of *T suddenly covering him. It instantly flipped over. His body was split in half by Pluto's knell. Ding! The system rang out once again. At the same time, the tower question of God's 5th floor exploded. The tower question of God trembled. Rumble! The tall tower question of God descended again, exploding 5 times in a row. A series of explosions sounded out from within the tower question of God, as if it was on the verge of collapse. The 5th floor was the base of the tower question of God. However, even if another 20 layers of tower question of God were to crumble, they would still not fall, because it itself could not be described as a building. It was a very special existence. It could also be said to be a spiritual treasure, a holy artifact. But he would be affected. Acting cool. Is the saint among the gods' tower that amazing? Again? Damn you. Long Fei rubbed the bridge of his nose, looked at the last saint in the sky, and laughed coldly. There's only one person left. Are you going to go back and call for reinforcements or fight with this daddy? How preposterous. The eyes of the saint in the 6th floor looked as though they were about to spit fire from anger. He didn't understand. Why was that? 3 years ago, he felt that Long Fei was just an ant that he could pinch to death however he wanted, but now he felt that they were ants, causing Long Fei to become extremely huge. This feeling made him extremely unhappy. Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "You're not in a good mood, right? If you're not satisfied, then come and do me. Your father is waiting here." He pretended to be, come on, I'll make you feel good, just as cheap as he could be. I was afraid you wouldn't come. Since you've come, don't even think about leaving. The biggest disadvantage of Bloody Bull of Underworld was their speed. If they could slow down their Gods War beasts or go up to the Sky War beasts, then their speed would be able to keep up. However, the health point of Gods War beasts S were too low, and they could not withstand the attacks of the Saint. Long Fei, I will never forgive you. The Saint of the 6th floor was so angry that he could barely speak due to Long Fei's anger, but he didn't dare to go down. His cultivation was the strongest out of the 6 Saints. However, he could not see where the limit of Long Fei's strength was at all after the 5 people were killed. He didn't even know if he was his opponent or not. Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "If you can't spare me, then come and kill me. You don't want to do it, do you? I don't want to waste my breath on you either." And then Long Fei moved and shouted, "Bloody Bull of Underworld, buzz!" The Bloody Bull of Underworld took off Long Fei's body, instantly reverting back to the appearance of a real face, and let out a roar. "Moo! Boss, it's too awesome! Ha!" These bullish *T Saint were as easy as chickens and dogs. They were easily killed. The Bloody Bull of Underworld was extremely excited. Long Fei said, "The good days are yet to come." His eyes held back for a moment, and then the Saint of the 6th floor disdainfully said from afar, "Go back and call for someone you can't." At the same time, Long Fei's idea connected to the Gods War beasts and said faintly, "Come over here." 6th floor, Saint, the strongest of the 6. How could she let him leave when he was already out? However, Bloody Bull of Underworld speed was not comparable to Saint's. He needed the Gods War beasts' speed. The gods wore beasts also understood tacitly and mocked. Did you hear my boss's words? F asterisk king no, go back and call for help. Ha ha, ha. The entire army was laughing at him. Many of them were captured by the Saint S of the God's Tower, and they especially hated the Tower question of God S. The sixth floor saint was so angry that his entire body was trembling. At this moment, a sound transmission reached his sea of consciousness. Contractual is sacred art. Once Long Fei is used, your power will instantly kill him. In that instant, the eyes of the saint in the sixth floor darkened as the corners of his mouth revealed a proud and cold smile. In the blink of an eye, shwa, he disappeared into thin air. Give me your life. An explosive sound rang out in the air. The bloody bull of Underworld was shocked. Boss. Long Fei's gaze darkened. I knew it. I was waiting for you. God's war beasts. Fitted soul, open. Buzz. It seemed to have merged with the God's war beast's body in an instant. And at this moment, Long Fei flipped his right hand and directly caught the God's hammer in his hand. This alone was not enough. The health point of the God's war beasts had difficulty resisting the attacks of the saint of the sixth floor. However, Long Fei had already thought of everything. Undying blood clan, power of blood god, open for me. Blood pool, buzz. Long Fei activated the blood vein's own strength as his body turned into a ball of blood shadow, and like a huge pool of blood, instantly shot into the air. Rumble. The power of a saint of the sixth floor came crashing down. Miss. MIS word floated up above Long Fei's head. This was the first time this had ever happened, and there had never been a boss attack, and the MIS word would appear. This was because Long Fei's current state was the undying blood race. Dodge. Long Fei instantly retracted the power from the blood pool. In this state, he had no way of attacking, and he leaped heavily. Damn it! I knew there was someone who would tell you the weakness of the fitted soul. Your father has been waiting for you. God's war hammer. Thunder God strike. The war hammer reached into the clouds. Rumble, rumble, crack, crack, crack. Lightning raged. All of the lightning flashed crazily, attaching onto the God's war hammer, and the hammer came smashing down. The eyes of the saint in the sixth floor tightened as he shouted, Long Fei, with your speed. It's not good at all. No. Now try it out. Bloody Bull of Underworld speed was not good, but God's war beast's speed was definitely good. The moment he escaped, Long Fei roared. The God's war beast's anger burst forth. Taking a step forward, he extended his right hand behind him and grabbed onto the God's warhammer's hilt. Shwa! Bang! 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 Rumble! Rumble! The lightning exploded above the saint of the sixth floor. It exploded. The power of the thunder god's strike penetrated into his mind and tore it apart. The scene was incomparably shocking. The entire tower question of God was in a daze. Even the saint who flew out were shocked. This strike of lightning and thunder carried an endless destructive force. Young Master Wushuang, save me. Tower Lord, save me. The sixth floor of the saint was covered in lightning as he frantically struck out, causing the damage above his head to roll out layer after layer. He couldn't bear it. Long Fei grinned and sneered. Go to hell. Suddenly, the sky suddenly split open, and a human figure landed heavily, followed by an explosion. Long Fei, enough? One of the saints' face changed. Tower Lord, the master of the tower question of God. Chapter 1520, Colorful Fairy Dragon, come out. Chapter 1520, Colorful Fairy Dragon, come out in the blink of an eye. The 5 layers of God's tower collapsed. If this continued, the entire tower question of God would be destroyed, and he, as a owner of tower question of God, would not be able to sit still. When he appeared, a voice resounded in his mind. Ha! You've lost. The owner of tower question of God did not bother about him. With a loud sound, the powerful energy swept out and directly swept away all of Long Fei's lightning strikes. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Everyone was shocked. The radiance and aura of the Tower Lord was too strong. The disciples, elders, and even the saint in charge of the god's tower all knelt down in unison and said in unison, "Greetings, Lord Tower Master." Long Fei looked at the Tower Master, who was floating in the sky with his dazzling divine light, and thought to himself, what a powerful aura. This fellow's aura. This was the first time he gave Long Fei a peculiar feeling. It was as if the owner of Tower Question of God was not even a person in this world. His aura was a bit. The aura released by the one-star godhood. Was he a divine-level powerhouse? Although it was powerful, Long Fei was still a little unhappy in his heart. He shouted, "When I was being crushed, why didn't you say enough? Now that it's my turn to crush them, you'll jump out?" While they were talking, Long Fei took a few steps closer. The space between owner of Tower Question of God's brows sunk, and he said slightly, "Long Fei, every world has its own laws. You cannot break those rules, and the rules of this world are mine to decide." The power of a Tower Lord. Moreover, his tone carried a tough aura akin to that of a thunderbolt exploding, so no one could even dream of shaking him. These words were said for Long Fei and also for the people from the Nine Secret Warrior family. The sixth floor saint shouted, "Long Fei, you dog. Listen carefully. This is not a place for you to behave atrociously. You want to kill me? Come on. If you dare to touch me, the Tower Lord will make you beyond redemption." Haha. Being saved by the owner of Tower Question of God caused his heart to loosen. No one could be presumptuous in front of the owner of Tower Question of God, and no one dared to be presumptuous because he was the Tower Master of the Tower Question of God, the strongest person in the world. Any attack, any power, any cultivation base would not be able to withstand a single blow from him. Since he was saved, he definitely wouldn't die. Long Fei looked at the amount of blood on his head. He only had about 60,000 left, and the distance between him and the saint of the sixth floor. Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "Are you still F*** King hooting? I'm so F*** King confused. Who gave you the courage?" As soon as he finished, Long Fei replied with the idea, "Ultra ignition. Buzz." With a leap in the air, the ignited flames suddenly ignited above the saint's head, causing his health to drop rapidly. He was stupefied. Not only was it the sixth floor saint, even the owner of Tower Question of God was the same. He didn't expect such a sudden attack. What's more, he didn't know what the super ignition was. Yell? Call me again. Pa, Lousy has never seen anyone who likes to call out. Call another one over for Lousy to hear out. Long Fei shouted excitedly. Can't kill you? If I can't kill you, your father will not be called Long Fei. F***CK. How could a boss that only had a little bit of HP let it go? The owner of Tower Question of God was indeed strong. However, can he control his own idea? Long Fei only needed to release the super ignition the moment the idea moved to it, and the super ignition was unbreakable, and nothing could break it. The only way to break it is if you have enough health point. The number of saints on the sixth floor grew fewer and fewer in number, as they all became more and more flustered. Tower Lord, save me. Save me. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. He continued to unleash his golden divine power to defend. However, it was completely useless. Right now, he could feel his body slowly becoming ice cold, and the death scythe was already on his neck. This feeling was too unbearable. Owner of Tower Question of God frowned. His eyes turned cold as he stared straight at Long Fei. Long Fei. Buzz! Long Fei's mind shook, being stared at in such a way by the owner of Tower Question of God. His sea of consciousness began to rumble. His mind started to tremble intensely. He was unable to withstand the pressure. However, Long Fei had always been someone who would not bite off more than he could chew. If you want to be strong, then this father will fight with you. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Long Fei made up his mind and shouted, Why are you calling for your father? Arrogant. Arrogant. So what if it was the owner of Tower Question of God? I will still not give you the slightest bit of face if you dare to crush me. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Owner of Tower Question of God's body released a cracking sound. The sky also seemed to split. A series of lightning flashed. His eyes became gloomy, and he stared at Long Fei. Do you really think I won't dare to do anything to you? The flames were burning. The flames of fury soared to the sky. Lightning rumbled in the sky. The entire fairyland of Tower Question of God was enveloped within. Every disciple was terrified. They had never seen owner of Tower Question of God angered before. This was the first time. True anger overflowed into the heavens. This rage formed into an intense suppression, frantically attacking Long Fei's body. Unwell. It was extremely uncomfortable. Long Fei's sea of consciousness surged and waves struck against the shore. He felt as if his brain was about to explode, and his mind felt as if it was about to be shattered. Unhappy. I'm so unhappy. Long Fei grabbed the colorful fairy dragon and bellowed, "Come bite me if you dare." Crack. How preposterous. Owner of Tower Question of God was enraged. He glared, and the boundless god power instantly crushed Xiang Longfei like a layer of heaven collapsing. It could be said that this was the true coercion. Power pressure. Just now, it was just a crushing blow in terms of momentum. This also signified that the Tower Question of God was completely enraged. Extremely strong boss rampage? What kind of scene was this? Destruction of heaven and earth. The bloody bull of Underworld roared fiercely and said, "Boss, be careful." Its huge body suddenly charged forward and landed in front of Long Fei, using its own body to block the attack. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Waves after waves of explosions occurred on the bloody bull of Underworld's body as blood gushed out like a fountain. It was simply unable to stop the power of the owner of Tower Question of God. However, he used his own body to block this attack for Long Fei. Long Fei looked at the 20 billion over health point of the bloody bull of Underworld's head become 100 million. What kind of damage was this? At this moment, Long Fei was furious. The Beast King Question of God roared, "Blood Seller." He fiercely charged forward. Owner of Tower Question of God shouted, "You beasts that eat outsiders die." Boom! With a flip of his right hand, a powerful force came crashing down. The body of the Beast King Question of God. It directly exploded. Dead. The God's War Beast was enraged. He also rushed forward. Owner of Tower Question of God disdainfully sneered, "You die too." Boom! When Long Fei saw this shocking scene, his heart burned with fury. He said in a heavy tone, "Colorful fairy dragon, come out." Chapter 1521. Long Fei Crash. Chapter 1521. Long Fei Crash Heavenly War Beasts, God's War Beasts, even though they were his own. However, ever since the day Long Fei tamed them, he treated them like brothers. Furthermore, Long Fei had promised them that he would bring them back to ancient holy battlefield. Let them do as they please. But now, the two war beasts were instantly killed and their bodies exploded. In this situation, even their primordial spirits were burnt to ashes. Anger arose from the heart. It was burning crazily. He roared, "Colorful fairy dragon, come out." The idea was linked to the colorful fairy dragon in the war pet space. This guy was a monster from the divinity, a dragon race master, and even more so, a super powerful war beast. He wanted to use the colorful fairy dragon to kill the owner of Tower Question of God. However, what made Long Fei a little confused was, following his idea summon, the colorful fairy dragon did not come out. The colorful fairy dragon was tamed by his spirit-controlling technique. So by right, as long as he moved the idea, it should be able to summon him out, but useless. What was going on? Long Fei moved his body and roared once more, "Colorful fairy dragon, come out right now." No response. There was no reaction at all. Ha! Ha ha! The crowd burst into laughter. Colorful fairy dragon. Long Fei, is something wrong with your brain? I even have the 8-color divine turtle. Has this kid been scared silly and started babbling nonsense? Ha ha ha! Long Fei, you must be crazy. No matter how little people knew about colorful fairy dragon, they would understand. But the divine dragon that roamed the 9 heavens was a monster from the divinity. So how could it be summoned by Long Fei? By his control? It was impossible. Moreover, Where did the giant dragons from in Chaos Realm come from? Not to mention the legendary colorful fairy dragoness. Even the Tower Question of God had a disdainful sneer on his face. Long Fei did not understand why. Then, the idea sunk, looked at the War Pet Space's wide-eyed, colorful fairy dragon, and almost roared. Are you King messing with me? The brothers had died in battle. Long Fei was furious. He naturally did not have a good temper at this time. The colorful fairy dragon did not mind, and said, Someone will explain to you. Bullshit explanation. I'm going to King overturn this son of TCH and release your power to me. Long Fei roared. He did not want to hear any explanation at all. Is to overturn owner of Tower Question of God. Other than this, Long Fei didn't think of anything else. Watching his brother die in front of him was truly unbearable. The colorful fairy dragon ignored him and said, Long Fei, what you want now is to calm down, not to be impulsive. Calm down. It was my brother who was killed, not your brother. Did you ever think of them as brothers? No. But I do. Long Fei did not want to be King calm. He was very calm right now. He had never been this calm before. Besides, now that the gods' war beasts and the Beast King Question of God were both dead, this was unbearable. One sentence. Are they coming out? Long Fei's gaze tensed up. The colorful fairy dragon's eyes slightly closed, ignoring him. All right. Long Fei was enraged in his heart and did not speak anymore. The idea moved with a flip of his right hand. It took out and said solemnly, Whoever kills my brother dies. As soon as he finished, there was another round of mocking laughter. The beast is his brother? Then is he also an animal? Ha ha! A dog is naturally a beast. Ah, to actually treat a war beast as a brother. This boy's brain is too funny. He still dares to make a ruckus with the Tower Master? You're courting death. They had fought together before, so they were Long Fei's brothers. Whether he was a beast, a demon, or a demon, as long as he had fought with Long Fei before, he would treat him as a brother. The golden cudgel in Long Fei's hands leapt out fiercely. The bloody bull of Underworld endured the pain and said heavily, Boss, I'll accompany you. Boom! Its huge body rose from the ground and rushed out together with Long Fei. Long Fei roared, and the idea moved. Activate the power of the 84th floor. I'm going for broke. This was originally prepared by Zhang Wushuang, but now he was completely going to throw caution to the wind and kill owner of Tower Question of God. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to take this lying down. However, without waiting for him to release the golden cudgel's energy, owner of Tower Question of God snorted, You overestimate yourself. If not for your father, you would have died long ago. If I give you a chance to live, don't treasure it. Since that's the case, then die. Boom! A palm struck down with a divine might. The bloody bull of Underworld shook. Boom! His enormous body once again stood in front of Long Fei, and facing Long Fei, he revealed his bloodied teeth that had an innocent smile, as he said, Boss, quick, run. Boom! The bloody bull of Underworld's body exploded into a mist of blood that covered the sky. The blood splattered onto Long Fei's face, and his entire body was drenched. At this moment, even his heart was trembling. No way. He was about to collapse. The power he used to activate the golden cudgel was also affected. He did not manage to activate the power on the 84th floor. Moreover, at this moment, the Tower Question of God turned its right hand over and coldly looked at the beast beside Long Fei, then shouted, Let me see who can block this for you. All of you die. Boom! Divine might burst forth like a wave. Boom! Boom! Wherever the divine might went, the monsters were all crushed. Their power was not comparable to owner of Tower Question of Gods at all. It was simply too great a difference. Owner of Tower Question of God was a divine-level powerhouse. It was someone who had a divine spark. They were just a few giant demon beasts. How could they possibly stop the power of the owner of Tower Question of God? No. Long Fei was driven mad. His mind was in a mess. He looked at the beast that had turned into blood mist and did not even know how to defend before disappearing. It was as if his heart had been pierced by tens of thousands of swords. An indescribable pain. His body was trembling. Long Fei crumbled, Qian Changrui, the capital, and the rest were all dumbstruck. They could not do anything. Nothing could help. They could only watch as Long Fei endure by himself. Ha ha ha! The law enforcement officials laughed out loud complacently. Long Fei, continue being arrogant, ha ha. The saintess that flew out of the tower question of God started to laugh complacently. No matter how arrogant you are, huh. Ha ha. Infinite mockery. Long Fei clenched his teeth until it shattered, his eyes bloodshot, and roared again, "Those who touch my brother die. I'll fight it out with you." This time, he moved his idea once again. "Monkey, release all of your power for me." The golden cudgel's red light trembled, and its power surged out like a sea. Chapter 1522, Father. Chapter 1522. Father, all the war beasts were killed. Long Fei's mind collapsed. But his killing intent did not stop just like that. No matter how far he went, even if he was in a life or death situation, his killing intent would never stop. Gripping the burning golden cudgel in one hand, Long Fei leapt onto it. Boom! In a flash of light, he instantly appeared in front of owner of Tower Question of God and smashed down with his staff. However, owner of Tower Question of God only sneered in contempt and said word by word, "You are too weak." As soon as he finished, owner of Tower Question of God suddenly made his move, his palm striking down. The golden cudgel was still a centimeter away from him, but in that moment, owner of Tower Question of God's power was used to dodge the attack, and his attack was launched first. Bam! A palm struck on a Long Fei's chest. Crack, crack, crack. His chest exploding, Long Fei spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His body also sank even deeper. However, it did not hit the ground, but was instead blasted into the void by the powerful force. The owner of Tower Question of God scoffed coldly. With a move, the idea sent a sound transmission into the air. Long Zhanting, tell your son to never step into the Tower Question of God again. Umph! Buzz! Space itself began to shatter and heal, and the world returned to its previous calm. However, everyone's heart turned upside down, unable to calm down. The Saint-S, elders and disciples were all incomparably shocked. The one who was the most shocked was Zhan Wushuang, owner of Tower Question of God's power. Zhan Wushuang clenched both his fists slightly. Divine-level powerhouse is just too strong. I wonder if he condensed his own divine spark himself, or if he absorbed the divine spark's power. However, Zhan Wushuang laughed coldly and said, "Now that Long Fei has finally been dealt with, there will be no more obstructions between Xianyuan Li'er and I when the time comes. That hidden power of Xianyuan Li'er, it's all mine now, ha!" Zhan Wushuang laughed out loud with pride. The instant Long Fei was blasted into the air by the owner of Tower Question of God, Xianyuan Li'er's eyes abruptly opened. For some reason, she felt an indescribable pain in her heart. It was very uncomfortable, like suffocating. Big brother Long Fei. Xianyuan Li'er felt that something had happened to Long Fei. She wanted to leave, but she couldn't leave. If possible, she would immediately leave when she found out that Long Fei was still alive. She did not want to enter any kind of ancient holy battlefield. She only wanted to quietly stay by Long Fei's side. But now, Xianyuan Li'er clenched her jade hands tightly. Big brother Long Fei, I will definitely break through the Tower Question of God quickly. I will definitely leave this place as soon as possible to find you. And then, Xianyuan Li'er stood up and said, "I'm ready." His gaze tensed up, and he walked towards the Saint Presbyter. In the void, the instant Long Fei was smashed downwards. It was as if his entire body was instantly hollowed out. It was as if his soul had left his body, and it was a feeling he had never experienced before. However, he knew he was going to die. The owner of Tower Question of God's power was too strong. He was unable to move at all. Even if he used all of his power, he would still be the same in the end. He would not be the opponent, but at that time, he really wanted to kill owner of Tower Question of God, and that would cause him to lose his mind. At this time, he calmed down. He said with a bitter smile, "Colorful fairy dragon, you are right. I was too rash. Your choice was correct, but, Long Fei clenched his teeth, trying his best to not let himself cry. But he was still unable to control the tears that were flowing out, and in the end he cried out loud, "It's just that I'm not reconciled to it, ah. Those are my brothers. They're my brothers, do you know that? Looking at them die one by one in front of me, I can't wait to die myself. Do you know what I've experienced? Do you know what kind of life I lived in my previous life?" You know, Long Fei was very afraid of being alone. He desperately cherished everything he had gained in this world: family, love, and brotherhood. He was afraid of losing them. Many times, he would rather die than see his brother die. Long Fei was such a person. In this man-eating world, this kind of character could be said to be very silly. The colorful fairy dragon did not speak, but in his heart he said, "I'm sorry." He was moved by Long Fei. Long Fei felt the endless darkness, as cold as ice. He roared out loudly, "This father is truly not willing. I am not willing. Sky King, Tong Ton, Bloodseller, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I failed to fulfill my promise to you. I'm sorry." His heart was weeping blood. He was still not strong enough. He really wasn't strong enough. He was still unable to protect everyone around him. Boom! Suddenly, the door was pushed open in the dark void, and a golden light flashed. A huge beast rushed out. He rushed to Long Fei's side and said with a heavy tone, "Boss." Long Fei was stupefied. Looking at the incredibly familiar gigantic beast in front of him, he could not believe what he had just heard. "Beast King Question of God, you are." And then, Long Fei smiled bitterly and said, "I almost forgot, I also died. Maybe we are both in hell." The Beast King Question of God said, "Boss, I'm not dead." It was also at this time. The God's War beasts also walked out from the golden door. Carrying the God's War hammer on its shoulder, its face full of excitement, it rushed to Long Fei and shouted, "Boss." Long Fei smiled faintly and said, All right. Even if I die, we should still be together. The heavens are still not too bad to me." The God's War beasts also followed. "Boss, we're not dead yet." "Not dead? How is that possible?" Long Fei had seen with his own eyes how they were crushed into a ball of blood mist by the power of the owner of Tower Question of God, and had also seen the damage floating above their heads. 10 billion points of damage. How could he not have died? However, perhaps they were alive in the infernal realm. To this world, they weren't dead. Boom! The golden door was unable to bear it any longer, but the bloody bull of Underworld still managed to squeeze inside. Long Fei laughed. "You can call me that in hell." The bloody bull of Underworld ran up and said, "Boss, we really aren't dead. He saved us." The three war beasts looked at the golden door. At the golden gate stood a man, a middle-aged man. It was also at this time. The colorful fairy dragon said, "They are right. You are all still alive. Long Fei, this is the explanation that I wanted to give you, and also the explanation that he told me not to come out." The moment owner of Tower Question of God appeared, a voice appeared in the colorful fairy dragon's mind. Seeing Long Fei going crazy, the colorful fairy dragon also almost couldn't hold back and rushed out to make a scene, but in the end, it endured it. Long Fei looked at the golden door, then at the extremely familiar figure. His heart trembled as he ran forward and shouted, "Father!" Chapter 1523. The person selected by the ancestral dragon. Chapter 1523. The person selected by the ancestral dragon, Long Zhanting. Long Fei recognized it immediately. Seeing Long Fei, Long Zhanting was also excited, Xiao Fei. The moment the Death God contract came into existence, Long Zhanting was forcefully dragged into the death space. At that time, Long Fei had died because of his father. But after meeting the 8 King Kong, Long Fei knew that Long Fei was still alive. When he met fairy sister Wang Shir, he confirmed this point. Today, they finally met, in a special space. Child, it's been hard on you. Long Zhanting's heart was in pain. He gently stroked Long Fei's forehead, and his gaze revealed that he was in debt. He knew very well what kind of suffering Long Fei had to endure. He truly blamed himself. As his father, he did not fulfill his duty as a father. His duty, to make Long Fei walk forward with difficulty. He was not able to assist, even when faced with danger. Only he knew the pain in his heart. Long Fei shook his head and said, "It's not hard. I'm not suffering at all." Long Fei was very excited. Huff! Long Zhanting exhaled deeply. His expression became serious as he said, "Xiao Fei, I was the one who did not let the colorful fairy dragon leave. His energy consumption after several million years has already reached its peak, so even if he summoned it, it would still be difficult for him to resist the owner of Tower Question of God. Also, too many things have happened in the past 3 years in Chaos Realm, which is far more than what you know right now. Even in the 9 Secret Warrior family, Zhan Wushuang is far more powerful than what you can imagine. Also, she has a special power that can help Zhan Wushuang quickly become a god. Even until now, I still do not know what this power is. I only know that the moment she enters the ancient holy battlefield, the power would erupt the moment she enters the ancient holy battlefield. If this power is used by Zhan Wushuang, then his cultivation would soar to the skies, and he would condense his divine lattice. Long Zhanting said slowly, "Zhan Wushuang does not have any effect on the Long family, nor on the entire dragon clan, but he can affect you. You also know some things about the dragon race from the colorful fairy dragon. If you want the dragon clan to rise up, you have to stand at the peak of this world. Not only the chaos realm, you also have to stand at the peak of all the realms. If you want the dragon clan to rise up, you have to stand at the peak of this world. Xiao Fei, the fate of the dragon race rests on your shoulders alone. I know that it will be very difficult, but you must carry the dragon banner and walk down." Long Zhanting cried in grief. He wanted to help Long Fei take responsibility, but he was not qualified, because Long Fei was the person that the ancestral dragon had chosen. Long Fei said, "Father, don't worry. I will definitely lead the dragon race to greatness once again, an unrivaled wild universe." When he was being trampled on by the Oracle S, Long Fei had already secretly made up his mind to beat them up. The 100,000 planes he belonged to were all under the control of the main temple. Long Zhanting smiled with gratitude and said, "That's good, that's good. Listen carefully next. Your current cultivation is already the limit of this world, and you can't break through anymore. If you want to fight against the 9 Secret Warrior family, the Tower Question of God must first recover its strength. We'll first enter the Chaos Realm's Sea of Infinitas and find it. It can help the colorful fairy dragon recover half its strength. A colorful fairy dragon that has recovered half of its strength is very powerful, but it cannot let you win against everything. 9 Secret Warrior family also has a divine level powerhouse, and there's more than one of them. Zhan Wushuang has a defensive main artifact. You still need to find something. This thing is called Linglong Prison. It was created with 18 levels of hell, and it requires a lot of materials, and all of these materials need to be found by you. If these 2 items are found, the colorful fairy dragon's power will return to its peak. First, uproot the entire 9 Secret Warrior family. Then, enter the Tower Question of God. You must enter the ancient holy battlefield. That place will allow you to rise quickly. You must remember, ancient holy battlefield, you once... Saying that, Long Zhanting's gaze tensed up. He suddenly stopped and did not continue speaking. His great prophecy could see what was going to happen to Long Fei in the future. To be able to see him receiving a heavy blow in the ancient holy battlefield. Long Fei looked at his father and said, "What happened once?" Long Zhanting gently patted Long Fei's head and said, "Xiao Fei, you must remember to keep that fearless heart of yours. The people of the dragon race never surrender to any kind of power. All right, go." Long Zhanting did not say what he saw. Long Fei's path should have been led by him, and he should have been given no hints. The fate of the Draconians was not controlled by anyone. Even the god of fate could not control it. As soon as Long Zhanting's words fell, he looked at Long Fei and laughed lightly. thinking to himself, "Child, it's been hard on you." Then, his figure was sucked into the golden door. The void slowly returned to its calm state. The three war beasts stood beside Long Fei. Long Fei watched as the golden door slowly closed, and he could clearly feel the energy that had sucked his father inside. Even though his father had already escaped from the clutches of the Death God contract, and could even be considered to be the Death God now, but in the end, he was still a spirit body. He could, in a real time, could only appear in this secret world, this special space. Long Fei clenched his teeth and said, "Father, I will definitely let you see the light again. I will definitely find Mother." "Huff!" The bloody bull of Underworld said. "Boss, where are we going now?" Long Fei replied, "Sea of Infinitas." His cultivation was still not strong enough, and was unable to shake the owner of Tower Question of God. Nine Secret Warrior family still had a divine-level powerhouse, and it wasn't just one person. He had to prepare for everything right now. Since he was unable to break through in terms of levels, he would cultivate all of his strength to the peak realm. Then, he would recover the colorful fairy dragon's strength to its peak state. At that time, a monarch descending the world. "Bring it on. Let me bring you all out of this void," the colorful fairy dragon said. His heart sank as well. In less than a day, he was gradually subdued by Long Fei. Rumble! The colorful fairy dragon flew out of the war pet space, and the aura on its body fiercely rushed forward. A series of loud sounds rang out. It was as if layers of the sky were shattering. The light was blinding. Long Fei fell from the sky. The holy source moved, immediately stabilizing his body, and at this moment, the colorful fairy dragon returned to Long Fei's war pet space, where it was silent. "Huff! It's time for me to get serious. There's been too much time. I've been quiet for too long, over 6 million years." The colorful fairy dragon's eyes turned cold. At this moment, he saw hope. He decided to return to the peak of his power for this hope for Long Fei. Chapter 1524, Aircrafts Set Sail. Chapter 1524, Aircrafts Set Sail. There are many calamities in a person's life. Every tribulation was a test. Persistence, strength, brave to pass with a fearless heart, you will see different sky. At the time when he was at the Tower Question of Goddess, Long Fei was actually resentful towards the colorful fairy dragon for not helping him. But after he calmed down, he realized that at that time, his heart was filled with rage and he had completely lost all reason. The colorful fairy dragon was his strongest move. If he were to use this trump card and still be unable to defeat it, then he would have nothing. Moreover, no powerhouse would allow Long Fei to absorb the colorful fairy dragon's power. In addition, the appearance of the rainbow dragon god would definitely cause a mysterious force to chase after him. At that time, could Long Fei withstand it? All of this was too much of an unknown. Long Zhanting had given Long Fei an opportunity to catch his breath. If he wanted to defeat the 9 Secret Warrior family and defeat the Tower Question of God, Long Fei still needed to grow stronger. 1 month later, God's War Beasts looked at the vast ocean and could not see the end of it. She could not help but mutter to herself, "I'll go. Standing in front of this ocean, I feel like an ant. Isn't this too big? Sea of Infinitas." There is a rumor in Chaos Realm that there is no end to this ocean and no one can fly over it, because this is an endless land. The Beast King Question of God said, "Boss, are we really going to go in?" The 3 war beasts looked at Long Fei. Long Fei grinned and laughed, then said, "Go. In this world, there is nothing that can stop my Long Fei's footsteps." The bloody bull of Underworld scratched its head and said, "Boss, but how do we get to this ocean? Or what?" Long Fei walked to the side of the ocean. The 3 beasts followed behind Long Fei. They were a little doubtful in their hearts. Walk into this sea. Long Fei slightly moved his body and felt something. The depth of this place should be good. "Boss, what are you going to do?" "Boss, don't do anything stupid." The 3 of them began to worry. Long Fei grinned and said, Let me show you what future technology is like. What is it like? Aerial carrier. Boom! Long Fei moved, summoning the aircraft carrier out of the system. He growled out, "Come out, aircraft carrier." This Long Fei used the Battle Mecha series to rampage out of nowhere. Overlord of the Sea. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The moment the spacecraft carrier fell into the water, it created a huge wave. The three war beasts were so scared that they became stupefied. Looking at the steel object that appeared out of thin air, they didn't even know what it was. What the heck? Boss, what kind of war beast is this? Isn't that too awesome? What mothership? Oh my god, this is simply a moving island. What's that? Boss, who's that guy with wings on the platform? The aircraft carrier was far more powerful than Long Fei had imagined. In his previous life, he had only seen it on TV before. At most, he only felt it to be bigger. But when he summoned the aircraft carrier, he was as shocked as the three giant beasts. He thought to himself, "Fuck, isn't this a bit too big?" This is future technology. It was several times larger than those aircraft carriers on Earth, and it was equipped with all sorts of black technology weapons. 6 fighter jets. It was a helicopter equipped with numerous ballistic missiles, a few nuclear warheads, and most importantly, its navigation system and detection system. With the advanced technology, a huge control interface appeared in Long Fei's mind. The truth, he was also dumbfounded, not knowing how to control this huge fellow at all. All aboard. Long Fei leaped high into the air. The three behemoths also jumped up. The bodies of the three behemoths were considered big, but on this huge aircraft carrier, it was just a drizzle. The three war beasts were extremely excited, just like how Grandma Lu was when she went on a stroll in the Grandview Garden. Everything they saw was novel to them. Long Fei was the same. "Boss, this guy is too powerful. I have never seen this guy before. If I can bring him to the ancient holy battlefield, that would be awesome." Even scaring them to death. The three war beasts excitedly discussed. But Long Fei was also bitter as he looked at the control panel in his mind. There were all kinds of buttons and letters, but he didn't move a single one. Even after a long time, he still couldn't start the aircraft carrier up. At this time, the Gods War beasts looked at Long Fei and said, "Boss, you aren't telling me that it won't move, right? Is that so? It's already been half a day and we haven't moved at all. Can we only stay here? If that's the case, then it's meaningless." At the start, he was shocked, but now his face was filled with disdain. Long Fei hated that he couldn't just kick them down. He was also secretly anxious in his heart. "Fuck, I don't understand a single one of them. What should I do? Where's the bullshit? Is there a simple way? This F*** doesn't even know how to open it? What the F***CK?" Long Fei started to complain in his heart. And then, the system notification rang out. Ding. System prompt. "Do you want to start speech control mode?" "Damn. Say it earlier." "Activate." Long Fei's heart relaxed. At this time, he looked at the three war beasts with contempt and said, "All of you watch carefully. I'll let you know how mighty this guy is." Voice control system started. Long Fei controlled his voice and shouted loudly, "Carrier, set sail." Boom, boom. A huge rumble sounded, and a huge force began to turn, causing the boat to move. Long Fei's voice sounded again. "In front of you on the right, the target is the Sea of Infinitas. Move out." Boom, boom, boom. He quickly started to operate it, his speed making it seem as if he was flying. The three great war beasts were so scared that they almost hugged each other, their faces full of worship. Haha. Too fierce. "I'm just asking you guys, are you guys awesome?" Long Fei stood at the edge of the sea, feeling the wind howling, his blood boiling as he muttered, "I never thought I could open an aircraft carrier." To think about it was like a dream. However, this was not a dream, nor was it a game. This was reality, the real world. Awesome. Too awesome. The three battle beasts were already in awe of him. He had given them far too much of a shock. After half an hour, they entered the deep sea. At the same time, Long Fei suddenly saw a large wave of deep-sea demon beast and laughed. "Do you want to see something even more powerful?" Then, Long Fei moved enchanted. His real face had already reached the limit of Chaos Realms level, but he still hadn't reached the Magic Body S yet, and was only at level 20 or so. After being bewitched, Long Fei shouted, "Missile preparations! Lock on! Fire!" Chapter 1525, F *CK, There's a Boss. Chapter 1525, F *CK, There's a Boss. Boom, boom, boom. A few missiles flew out. It drew a long trail of flames in the sky, looking incredibly beautiful. The three war beasts' faces were filled with excitement, and their eyes glazed over. They were completely unable to understand what these rocket-like things were. The missile came at once. In the distance, rumble, rumble, rumble. The entire sea surface exploded, blowing up waves of water for several hundreds of feet. Even the seabed was filled with violent rumbles. That scene, even Long Fei himself was shocked. It was a great show. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 10,222 experience, 200 holy source points, and 1 energy values point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing level 2 sea beast for obtaining 1022 experience points, 200 holy source points, and 1 energy values point. Ding! The system exploded. The lethality of these 3 projectiles was simply outrageous. The magic body's experience points could be seen with the naked eye. The 3 war beasts beside him were even more dumbfounded. My darling, isn't this too abnormal? Boss, this guy is too awesome. This kind of explosive power is so destructive. Boss, is there anything more amazing? Boss, is there anything more awesome? The eyes of the 3 battle beasts were burning as they looked forward to something even more eye-catching. Long Fei moved and smiled. Then I'll show you this. Since he had nothing better to do, he decided to make use of this opportunity to familiarize himself with the aircraft carriers. This would be the perfect opportunity to bring up the demon god's level increase. And then, a big thing, a lot of firecrackers rose up on the carrier. The 3 war beasts immediately surrounded him and asked, "What is this?" Long Fei moved and said, "Fill in the ammunition." Fire. Boom, boom, boom. The huge firepower from the high-speed cannon shot out again and again with deafening sounds. The scene was simply invincible. The firepower shot out one after another for less than 1/10 of a second before it turned into a fiery dragon and bombarded the surface of the sea. Rumble. The waves crashed. The system beep began to move, and the sea beasts swam happily. And then he was blown to smithereens. Not even that. Activate fighter jet. Whoosh. Whiz. The 6 fighter jets flew into the air, and the trajectory they were carrying rumbled down. The effect created by an aircraft carrier was like the end of the world. It was a scene that could not be put into words. It could only be described with one word: awesome. Boss, this guy is so awesome. Just doing a few sea of infinitas like this would make us explode. Haha, this is too awesome. If there were a few more of these guys, we would have finished them all off. The 3 war beasts were very powerful, but when they saw the spacecraft carrier, they were shocked by its powerful firepower and became completely out of control. Long Fei grinned and thought to himself, "This is only the most basic firepower of an aircraft carrier. The stronger firepower has yet to be produced." Looking at the 3 nuclear bombs. Moreover, all of them were huge black warheads. Once this guy fired, he was definitely in existence that could destroy the heavens and the earth. 9 secret warrior family. Haha. Don't let me know your coordinates, or I'll blast you with a cannon shot. The explosion of fire from the aircraft carrier was extremely terrifying. It exceeded Long Fei's expectations. This bastard was not an ordinary aircraft carrier at all. However, he exploded with joy, but the Sea of Infinitas' seabed exploded. In the depths of the ocean, beasts were constantly awakening. Many pairs of huge eyes were opened, flickering with a dark green light. All the ancient beasts that were hiding in the everlasting sea were awakened. They slowly approached the aircraft carrier. Long Fei did not know about any of these. The Sea of Infinitas was one of the 10 forbidden grounds in the Chaos Realm, the most dangerous ocean. No one dared to set foot in it. Even those semi-god powerhouses who were on the heavenly ranking wouldn't dare to come here. This was the forbidden land of death. The gunfire of the three beasts was as resplendent as fireworks. The sea was getting restless. A powerful aura was approaching. Boom, boom, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 15,990 experience, 500 Holy Source points, and 1 energy values point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, 24. He leveled up once again. This was already the second time. A warm current appeared within the demon god's body, becoming stronger by a bit. Long Fei faintly felt this energy and felt that the demon god's strength seemed to be awakening bit by bit. This feeling was very refreshing. Boom, boom. Another few bullets flew out. They were extremely loud and clear, but the current missiles were unable to cause any more damage, so Long Fei did not waste any more bullets. Although these cannonballs were used without limit, every time they were used, it would consume his holy source. In just half an hour, his holy source had consumed more than 2 million points, and he didn't even bring any sea beasts to supplement his holy source. Huff! Long Fei moved. Stop your attack. The artillery shell stopped firing, and the sea returned to normal. The sea was covered in blood, and the bombardment had caused the death of a large number of sea beasts. Magic Body did not feel anything about it. In his heart, leveling up was more important than anything else. There is no one in the world worthy of pity. The demon god's nature and Long Fei's nature were completely different. Suddenly, the bloody bull of Underworld suddenly stood up and said, "Boss, we seem to be surrounded." The God's War beasts moved suddenly and stood up. It carried the God's War hammer on its shoulder and instantly landed beside Long Fei. The Tong Tian battle beast also entered a state of preparation. Long Fei also instantly opened up the aircraft carrier control interface, discovering the radar below them. They were all densely packed in red dots. What is this? It was an enormous sea demon. Sea beasts of the 5th or 8th rank couldn't even get on the radar, which meant that they were all above 9th rank. The corner of Long Fei's mouth rose. You got into a hornet's nest? Suddenly, the image of a giant tentacle tearing through the air was like a giant stone pillar slapping down on the surface of the ship. The heavenly battle beast slightly moved. The power of a demigod burst forth, throwing out a heavy punch. Die! Boom! A tentacle was blasted flying. At the same time, more than 10 huge tentacles suddenly rose up from around the aircraft carrier, bombarding the surface of the ship. Its strength was heaven-defying, just like the sea monster sacrifices move in a game. Rumble! Damn! Long Fei was stunned. The bloody bull of Underworld said, "Boss, what do we do?" Bang, bang, bang. More than 10 tentacles caught the surface of the boat and violently pulled. Rumble! The enormous aircraft carrier began to sink. Long Fei was secretly surprised in his heart. How big of a squid is this? This guy is definitely a boss. Chapter 1526 Explosion. Chapter 1526 Explosion. The Sea of Infinitas were extremely terrifying. The terror came from an unknown ancient monster at the bottom of the sea. This giant squid was one of those giant creatures. The weight of the aircraft carrier was a machine's terror. However, its power was enough to drag the aircraft carrier down. Boss! Boss, what do we do? Boss! The 3 Great War beasts looked at Long Fei, waiting for his orders. In the blink of an eye, more and more tentacles were pulling on the ship's hull crazily. It won't take long for the aircraft carrier to be overturned. Long Fei grinned. I want to see how strong your boss is. Get in the water. With that, Long Fei jumped down. The 3 beasts followed closely behind and jumped down following Long Fei. And then, the seabed world was even more terrifying than what Long Fei had imagined. The instant they entered the water, swish, swish, swish. Water splashed everywhere, blocking their line of sight. Without waiting for them to react, A huge lantern-shaped fish opened up its blood bowl. Its sharp teeth were longer than a human's teeth and fiercely swallowed Long Fei. Long Fei floated motionlessly in the water. The god's war beast shouted, F asterisk asterisk, K your grandpa. You dare to touch my boss? The god's hammer struck down, and with a strike of its hammer, the lantern-fish's head split open. Fresh blood spurted out as the lantern above their heads was extinguished. However, in the murky sea water, the smell of blood was enough to stir everything. In just a few seconds, the body of the lantern-fish was quickly torn apart, leaving only a string of bones. This was too crazy. Long Fei frowned. Even cannibal fish aren't so fast. Boss, up ahead. Boom! A completely golden-colored shark shot towards Xiang Longfei like a bolt of lightning. Longfei squinted his eyes as he moved the demon god's 9 tribulations sword in his hand and said in a deep voice, Even you dare to act tough in front of me? Longfei moved. They collided into each other. In that instant, his body slightly lowered as the 9 tribulations sword in his hand fiercely thrust upwards. Crack! Before the golden shark could open its mouth, it was stabbed to death. Instant kill. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Golden Shark for obtaining 50,000 experience, 3,500 holy source points, and 1 energy values point. At this moment, Long Fei looked at the giant squid that was coiled under the aircraft carrier. It was shining with a golden light as the corner of his mouth lifted. It really is a boss. Ancient sea beasts, infinite cuttlefish. Make way, Long Fei shouted. The 3 war beasts immediately charged forward. Long Fei did not make a move again. The magic body and his real face were completely different. The demon god carried a cold arrogance, that kind of aura of a king, that kind of contempt for low-level sea beasts. Standing in front of the infinite cuttlefish, Long Fei said coldly, Have you finished? His voice carried the might of a demonic god. The squid glared with both eyes, but was not afraid. One of its tentacles had attacked Xiang Longfei silently. Fast, accurate, ruthless. In this sea, it had never been afraid of anyone, let alone a human. Chua, an incomparably thick antenna, pierced towards Xiang Longfei like a sharp arrow. Longfei's eyes trembled slightly as he coldly shouted out a single word, Die! Boom! The 9 tribulations sword in his hand moved, but he did not control it to attack his tentacles. Instead, he charged towards the head of the infinite cuttlefish. Competing in speed? The infinite cuttlefish revealed a cold and contemptuous smile. Comparing speed with him in the sea? Isn't this courting death? Furthermore, when approaching him, it was as if he was courting death. The tentacles loosened and began to wildly dance about, not a single one of them reaching a length of several thousand meters. When dancing in the sea water, it was like a fiendish demon. The tentacles wrapped around Long Fei like they wanted to kill him. As long as they were caught by him, they would definitely die. Fearless. No fear. The magic body was very rampant, disdaining defense at all, and charged straight at the infinite cuttlefish. At this moment, suddenly, a figure rushed out from the bottom of the sea and shouted, Brother, be careful. There was someone at the bottom of the sea. Long Fei was not in the mood to care about all these. The 9 tribulations sword in his hand moved slightly as bursts of light shone out. Explode. In the crevice, the sword pierced through. That sword, it was so fast that it made it hard for people to breathe, and it suddenly appeared behind the infinite cuttlefish as though it had just flashed by. Crack! The ancient squid's head issued a cracking sound, and all of its tentacles powerlessly hammered down. Its eyes were wide open in anger, and it didn't even know how it died. He looked like an idiot. This strike, it dealt over 90 million damage. It was shockingly high. Long Fei's heart secretly tightened. The magic body's power is far stronger than what he has imagined, far more powerful than what he has in real face. When the god's suffering force was formed, his strength could be imagined. If it was a competition of aptitude and potential, Even if Long Fei's aptitude were to increase by 108,000 times, it would still not be comparable to the magic body's aptitude and potential. This was why his strength was so explosive. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Infinite Cuttlefish for obtaining 120 3022 experience points, 100,000 Holy Source S, and 1 energy values. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Infinite Cuttlefish. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Tentacle Souls Technique. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ancient spiritual artifact Black Dragon Tendon. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. A series of notifications sounded. Other than the ancient spiritual artifact being absorbed by the golden cudgel, everything else was exchanged for points. However, the last item to explode caused Long Fei to be slightly stunned. Limitless fragment? What is this? A black fragment that was half the length of a finger with a few lines on it, just like broken porcelain. The key was that this item did not have any description on its attributes and could not be used to pay any points. Long Fei glanced to the space ring. With the death of the infinite cuttlefish, the sea beasts quickly fled. At this time, the person who made the sound just now was a very special person. His appearance was somewhat different from ordinary humans. His nose was almost flat, his nostrils were small, and his body was relatively light. Wow! Killing an infinite cuttlefish with one sword strike, how powerful! The young man looked at Long Fei with excitement in his eyes. Respect for the powerhouse. Long Fei looked at this special person in front of him and asked, "You are?" That person hugged his hands and said, "We are the Murlocs clan of the Sea of Infinitas. My name is Aphone." Murlocs clan. Long Fei shuddered. Looking at the fishman in front of him, he could not help but ask, "You live at the bottom of the sea?" Aphone laughed. "We Murlocs are different from you humans. For us to be able to be like fishes at the bottom of the sea, we can take a breather for a few days." "Oh yeah, can you give me the infinite cuttlefish you hunted?" Ding! Chapter 1527, I Want Your Life. Chapter 1527, I Want Your Life. The system suddenly sounded out. Ding! System notification. Giving the infinite cuttlefish to Aphone. Obtaining the infinite reviews information. Long Fei immediately replied, "Sure." They had entered the Sea of Infinitas, yet the ocean was so vast, it was harder to find infinite review than to find a needle in a haystack. The key thing was Long Fei did not have a clue. It was just like completing a task. If he didn't give any hints, how could he complete it? "Thank you. Thank you." Aphone was ecstatic. He had only said it casually. He did not expect Long Fei to actually agree. One must know that such a huge, infinite cuttlefish could solve the problem of their tribe being fed and warmed up for half a month. Ding! Gift successful. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining information on the infinite review. Damn! System, damn you. Only 2 words are given. The sea floor? Do I need you to tell me that the infinite review is at the bottom of the sea? Why didn't you say it's in Chaos Realm? Are you kidding me? Long Fei felt that he had been tricked and was extremely unhappy in his heart. However, to be able to obtain crucial information just by giving an infinite cuttlefish as a gift, that was too simple. Afeng's body moved and directly charged into the depths of the sea. After a few seconds, a series of bubbles appeared in the depths of the sea, and the incomparably huge squid was lifted up on his shoulder by his frail body. It was as if his strength had exploded. Although it was in the water, the gigantic squid was simply too huge. Ordinary people couldn't move at all. Even if the bloody bull of Underworld dragged it, it would take some time, but Aphone still managed to drag the squid up in a few seconds. This power, this was definitely not ordinary. Long Fei was stunned. The bloody bull of Underworld were also stunned. Grandma, are all the life forms in the Sea of Infinitas abnormal? I always thought that I was abnormal enough. I never thought that there would be someone even more abnormal than me. This power, if it's on the surface of the water, then wouldn't that be the existence of a god-burst fist? Terrifying. Aphone said respectfully, Thank you for giving me the infinite cuttlefish. I thank you on behalf of my tribe. You're my clan's benefactor. If not, why not come with me to the tribe? A phone invited. Since he had obtained a hint from a phone, then perhaps this might be a signal, and then he might be able to obtain all the information regarding the infinite review. Immediately, Long Fei kept the 3 great war beasts back in the war pet space, and the aircraft carrier also kept them, saying, "All right." A phone laughed excitedly and said, "Master, then follow me." He was very happy, because Long Fei had agreed to meet him together with the tribe. With the squid on his shoulder, he couldn't help but smile. There's hope now. Don't worry about food. There's hope now. All along the way, a phone was talking to Long Fei excitedly. It was all about his tribe. The Murlocs clan was divided into many tribes. The young people like him in the tribe would either leave the clan or leave it. There were very few people guarding the tribe, which also made the power of the tribe he was in become weaker and weaker. Until now, it was difficult to even maintain his position. Food was scarce. They had only come out to take the risk for the sake of Tribe A phone. This giant squid had solved the problem of their tribe's food supply, so they no longer had to worry about their tribe being destroyed. Half a day later, a phone pointed to a deep valley in the distance. In the middle of the valley was a flat area, and in that flat area, there was a huge bubble that covered everything. Beneath the bubble were some simple and crude buildings. "That's my tribe," a phone said with a smile. It was obvious that he loved his home. However, the space between his eyebrows suddenly tightened and his speed increased by a bit. He said faintly, "Tiger Shark Tribe? Could it be?" His face darkened, and he sped up once more. Long Fei saw that within the bubbles, many merfolk people who were strong and sturdy were kowtowing and begging for mercy in front of him. A phone already crazily ran over. Long Fei also followed him at a moderate pace. Buzz! A phone went into the bubble and placed the infinite cuttlefish outside. He ran up and shouted, "Guehu, what do you want to do?" When the clansmen saw Feng's return, they were all slightly startled. However, a few clan members immediately pulled the phone back and said, "A phone, don't be rash. A phone, don't be reckless." The burly fishman sneered, glanced at a phone, and said, "What are you doing?" "I am here to collect my salary. Our clan chief has said that if we are unable to return any more food today, your silver fish tribe will be removed from Murloc's clan." "I heard you went out to hunt sea beasts." "Where are the sea beasts?" "Hand it over." Guehu looked at a phone, who was empty-handed, and revealed a proud sneer. "You think you can kill a sea beast? Oomph. You shouldn't take a piss just because you know what you're doing." A phone clenched his fists tightly. And then, Guehu shouted loudly and said with a heavy tone, "Today is the deadline. You trash from the white bait race. If you can't pay your salary, it would be a waste even if you lived in this world." "It's a waste anyway, why not? Go and die for me." Guehu grinned excitedly and laughed. "Ha ha." Behind him, the tiger shark S also started laughing loudly. Compared to the tiger shark, a Feng's white bait race was too weak. You could tell that from their bodies. One was as strong as a bear's back, while the other was as thin as firewood. Whitebait race had the lowest status among the Murlocs clan and was looked down upon by other tribes. At this moment, a little girl suddenly walked out, put her hands on her hips, and said angrily, "You're the bad guy. You're the one who's going to die." Guehu stared at him. "You're courting death." A Feng shouted out loud, "Little sister, be careful." Boom! Space 8 trigrams. Boom! A ripple like water was released. The little girl couldn't react at all. Her palm ruthlessly smashed in her chest, and her entire body was sent flying. He had blown her out of the air bubble with a single palm strike, causing her entire body to become unconscious. "Little sister!" A phone roared. Guehu laughed disdainfully. "A phone, try making a move. This old one wants her clan members to be smashed to smithereens in just a few minutes." It was at this moment. Boom! Long Fei supported the little girl with one hand and pulled the infinite cuttlefish with the other as he landed heavily on the ground. He looked at Guehu and said, "You guys want food, right? Is this squid enough?" When Gui, who saw the gigantic infinite cuttlefish, his eyes released a golden light. He laughed excitedly and said, "Enough, huh? Phone, you guys go far this time. Men, pull the infinite cuttlefish away." Long Fei grinned and laughed, then said, "You can take it away, Squid, but you don't have to. You beat him up just now. How can this be counted?" Gui, who looked at Long Fei and sneered, "How do you want to calculate?" Long Fei said, "I want your life." Chapter 1528, Killing One, Not a Single One Can Leave. Chapter 1528, Killing One, Not a Single One Can Leave as soon as he finished. The audience suddenly quieted down. Gui, who looked at Long Fei. The whitebait race looked at Long Fei. The tiger shark looked at Long Fei. Suddenly, ha, 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 is this person courting death? He dares to challenge Master Gui, who, is he tired of living? Is this person crazy? It's obvious that he's brainless. Gui, who was one of the top 3 warrior-s in the tiger shark tribe, with the ability to cultivate the power of 8 trigrams to the extent of being as pure as fire, he could be considered a top-notch powerhouse in the entire Murlocs clan. A human, and it was at the bottom of the water, daring to challenge him? If this wasn't courting death, then what was it? A Feng's brows tightened. The expressions of the people from Whitebait race also changed slightly. Their eyes were filled with worry for Long Fei, because they knew very well that the humans at the bottom of the sea were no match for the Murlocs clan, let alone the super warrior of the fighting tribe's tiger shark. Gui, who laughed loudly, feeling that Long Fei was extremely laughable and extremely laughable. He pointed at Long Fei's nose and said, "Look at this infinite cuttlefish's face. I'll let you off today. Brothers, lift up the big squid. Let's go back." At this moment, Long Fei said again, "I never thought of letting you go." Suddenly, Gui, who was startled, the killing intent in his eyes burst forth. It was extremely gloomy and cold. At this moment, the surroundings instantly quieted down. Shwa! Space Gossip Water Palm. Gui, whose body strength suddenly burst forth as he struck Xiang Longfei with his palm. A wave of water ripples shot towards Xiang Longfei like an arrow, and very quickly, the force of the wind blew on the ground and caused the ground to crack. This power was extremely terrifying. However, Long Fei's eyes became cold, and the 9 Tribulation sword in his hand moved. Break! The sword stabbed out. He went up to meet it head-on. Buzz! When the water wave energy made contact with the 9 Tribulation sword, it suddenly exploded, turning into a huge 8 trigrams. The force of the palm became even stronger. This sudden change caused Long Fei to be slightly shocked. Gui, who sneered and said, "You overestimate yourself." Very contemptuous. In his eyes, humans were trash that could not even withstand a single blow. Long Fei's devil god might slightly exploded as he coldly said, "Strength. That's right. However, useless." With a flick of his finger, he pressed it against the hilt of the sword, and a surge of energy gushed out of his body. The sword pierced into the 8 trigrams water wave, forming a vortex. It swirled fiercely and became like a gigantic umbrella, spinning faster and faster until the entire 8 trigrams water wave was sucked into it and blasted towards Gui, whose expression changed as he used more strength in his palms. 8 trigram space. Boom, boom, boom. He sent out several palm strikes, but all of the palm force was sucked into the ball and was completely unable to stop the power Long Fei had unleashed. Crash! Rumble! All of the 8 trigram space palm technique smashed onto Gui, who himself, causing him to fly 100 meters away as he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. At this moment, Long Fei's footsteps were like ghosts. In the instant that Gui, who fell to the ground, he had already appeared in front of him. Too fast. All of this happened too fast. He couldn't react at all. Gui, who was not afraid, his eyes spat fire as he stared at Long Fei and asked, "Kid, who are you? Do you know who I am? I am the son of the tiger shark elder. You dare to kill me? The Silver Fish clan will be exterminated." Without waiting for Gui, who to finish, Long Fei's 9 tribulations, sword fiercely thrust forward. Poochie. He had never dreamed that Long Fei would actually dare to make a move, because he was the son of the great clan elder of the Tiger Shark S, and he was the son of the great clan elder. Who would dare to touch him? However, Long Fei gave a disdainful sneer. This demon god hates it when people spout rubbish in front of me the most, and even hate it when people threaten me. A cold voice. His aura was so strong that it could explode. Kill you? It is as if I have taken a fancy to your supreme glory. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Gue, who for obtaining 100,000 experience, 10,000 holy source points, and 10 energy values. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Space Trigram Palm. Do you wish to learn it? Trash cultivation technique, practice my ass. I want to exchange for points. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up his magic body. The entire silver fish tribe remained silent. All of them stared at Long Fei with their mouths agape. He actually killed Gue who? This. Their brains were twisted and they could not react in time. Those Gue who warrior-s were also stunned on the spot. You dare kill Master Gue who? You kill Master Gue who? You prepare to die. You all of you will die from Master Gue who. Just you wait. In the Murlocs clan, no one had ever dared to challenge the Tiger Shark or Murlocs clan. Long Fei's eyes turned cold. A Feng suddenly shouted, "Kill them all if you don't do one, and don't let a single one go." If these Tiger Shark warriors escaped, the Tiger Shark army would crush them in less than an hour. By that time, the Silverfish drug race would not be able to hold on at all. After killing all of them, Whitebait race would have more time to prepare by sealing off the news. A Feng had no other choice. Gue, who was already dead, in their Whitebait race's territory, even if they didn't do anything, the Whitebait race wouldn't have been able to escape and would have definitely been implicated. Thus, it was the direct opposite. Immediately, the Whitebait race-s who were kneeling on the ground also took action, charging forward. Long Fei smirked and said, "I like killing people the most." He needed experience. I want the holy source. And even more so, energy values. Right now, his energy values had already accumulated to 18 points, and in a few tens of thousands, he would be able to reach the 7th level of Berserk. Level 7 Berserk was not Long Fei's goal. What he wanted was a level 10. This time, it turned the world upside down. Level 10 Berserk. It was at least a super artifact, or even a main artifact level spirit treasure. Half a minute. All of the Tiger Shark S and Warrior S were killed, and Long Fei accepted all of their experience, holy source, and energy values. A Feng walked in front of Long Fei and said, "Master, thank you for your help. Hurry up and leave." A Feng did not want to implicate Long Fei, and at the same time, his heart was sincerely grateful to Long Fei. Long Fei had done something that he did not dare to do, but he really wanted to do so. Whitebait race was born with this blood. He had been feeling vexed the entire time. Long Fei was startled and said, "If I leave, what will you do?" A Feng smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, we have a way to deal with it." Long Fei was not stupid. He could tell that a Feng did not want to implicate him. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "All right, then can you let me rest here for a few days?" He didn't want to go. Someone was going to kill him, someone was going to take it from him, and someone was going to take it from him with energy values. How could he possibly leave? Absolutely not. I'm going to level up. Chapter 1529, Infinite God of War S. Chapter 1529, Infinite God of War S. The level of Magic Body S were still too low. There was only one way to unleash all the power of the Devil God, and that was to transfer his level increase to the Peak Realm. Moreover, the more he thought about it, the more he realized that this place was very likely to be related to the Infinite Review. This feeling was very strong. In the Murlocs clan, the Silver Fish tribe was one of the oldest fishmen and had lived the longest in the Sea of Infinitas S. If they wanted to find the Infinite Review, they would definitely provide them with a clue. A Feng said slightly, All right, 3 days. It's best if Master leaves quickly after 3 days. Long Fei laughed. Sure. No way. Absolutely not. A phone. You know very well just how strong the tiger shark tribe is. Our whitebait race doesn't even have as many warriors as one team. How can we contend against them? A phone. You are bringing our whitebait race into the abyss of hell, aren't you? The tiger shark S, warrior and Gue, who were both killed by that human. As long as we capture him and give him to the tiger shark tribe elder, our tribe will be saved. You're right. He hasn't left yet. We absolutely can't let him go. Facing the valiant, the hearts of the people from the whitebait race were incomparably afraid. It was the same for any living being. They would not be afraid of death when faced with the crushing pressure of powerful forces. A Feng said, Elders, uncles, our whitebait race has been oppressed for so many years. Our clansmen are getting smaller and smaller. Our territory is getting smaller and smaller. And even now, being squeezed into this valley, our tiger shark tribe will not let this opportunity go. Our whitebait race used to be the strongest warrior, and all of us have the blood of the infinite god of war flowing in our bodies. Do you all forget about this? Let's take a step back. Even if we hand the Lord over to the tiger shark tribe, the tiger shark tribe will still kill us all. The entire Murloc's clan knows of the tiger shark's ambition. He will definitely not let us off. Only if we unite will we be able to fight against the tiger shark tribe. As soon as a Feng finished speaking, a middle-aged fishman snorted coldly. Humph, fighting against tiger shark tribe. A Feng, I'm asking you. What are you going to do? How can we fight back? Do we whitebait race still have the strength to fight? The hall was silent. Indeed, right now, even surviving was a problem for the whitebait race. How could he still have the strength to fight against the incomparably strong tiger shark tribe? Right now, they were like ants and elephants. They were not on the same level at all. So how could they resist? Crack, crack. In the main hall, a fishman with wrinkled eyebrows and a beard that fell to his waist was smoking. His eyes trembled as he said faintly, Our silverfish tribe can no longer shrink back. A Feng is right. The blood flowing in our bodies is from the infinite god of war. We are born to be fish people. All these years, we have forgotten even the most fundamental part. The few elders were slightly taken aback, clan leader, but our strength cannot compete with tiger shark tribes. The old man looked at a Feng and lightly said, Call the human you brought into whitebait race. Everyone else out. Everyone was shocked. Although he was unwilling, he didn't dare to stop. The clan leader has supreme authority. Not long later, Long Fei walked in a hall. Inside the hall, there were only the patriarch, a Feng, and him. Long Fei slightly said, Patriarch, why have you called me here? Long Fei didn't need to think to know that there had been an intense argument just now, and that he was the target of it. In fact, he didn't care about it at all. Whether he could hand him over to the tiger shark tribe or not was also fine. Anyway, he wanted to level up, wanted to obtain striking energy value. The old man said slightly, This is the place where the whitebait race was born. In the canyon behind our tribe, there is a seal. A Feng's gaze tensed up. Long Fei did not so casually listen. The old man continued, Only the people from the whitebait race can open the seal, and inside the seal is the blood vein of our fishermen ancestors, the blood vein of the infinite god of war. Long Fei was startled and asked, What do you want me to do? The old man said, I want to beg you to protect a Feng and let him fuse with the infinite god of war's blood vein. This is whitebait race's only hope. No. A Feng immediately knelt down before him and said, Lord Clan Chief, I am not qualified. In the Murloc's clan, blood vein were the supreme blood vein. In the Murloc's clan, there was a legend. Whoever obtained the infinite god of war blood vein would be able to obtain the power of the infinite god of war, becoming the strongest warrior, becoming a new war god. Long Fei said indifferently, Yes, but what can I get? The demon gods never did things for free. If it was the real face, Long Fei wouldn't be able to say such words, but the demon god's personality was different from his, and his thoughts were also different. The old man looked at Long Fei, his eyes flashed with a strange light, and he said, you will get the upper half of the infinite review. It was very deep. Even the deep Long Fei couldn't see through it. Long Fei said, "You know that I am here for the infinite review?" The old man said, "Everyone that enters the Sea of Infinitas are here for the infinite review. You definitely are there too. It's just that I only have the upper half. If you can help a phone to obtain the infinite god of war's blood vein, I will give you the upper half." Long Fei said without even thinking, "Deal? But what if the infinite god of war blood vein is unable to fuse with it?" Long Fei suddenly thought of something and asked. The old man's eyes narrowed. A Feng said, "Clan leader, this burden is too heavy. I am afraid. I'm afraid I can't take it." There was a possibility of failure in fusing with a blood vein. What if he failed? Not only did he waste blood vein, he also let down the patriarch's expectations and limited Murloc's clan's predicament. That was also to say that he was the one carrying the fate of the entire whitebait race. The old man was silent for a good 3 minutes. Then he exhaled a cloud of white smoke and said indifferently, "If you fail to integrate, then the heavens will want my whitebait race to die. Go! You only have 3 days." Finished. The old man slowly walked out of the hall with his hands behind his back. Long Fei lightly patted a Feng's shoulder and said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of everything." 1 day later, Long Fei and a Feng arrived at the depths of the canyon. This was a deep ravine that was tens of thousands of meters deep. If not for the magic body, Long Fei's body would have been crushed to pieces. He simply could not endure it. A Feng took the map and looked at it and said, "It should be here." A huge black hole. It was like the bloody mouth of a demon beast. A Feng kept the map and took a step into the cave. At this moment, the sleeping beauty suddenly woke up and said, "It's dangerous inside." Huh? Long Fei pulled a Feng back, and the idea asked, "How dangerous is it?" The sleeping beauty slowly said, "It's extremely dangerous, a danger that you can't withstand." F***CK. So fierce. Long Fei trembled and said, "I like it." The more dangerous the situation, the more excited Long Fei became, because wealth comes only from danger. Right now, he was desperately hoping to obtain even more power. He really hoped for it. Thus, Long Fei took the lead and stepped into the deep hole. Sleeping Beauty said, "Inside, there is a fallen ancestor of the Titan." Chapter 1530, The Ancestor of the Titan. Chapter 1530, The Ancestor of the Titan within the black hole. His line of sight was less than 10 meters. It was pitch black. The seawater was still turbid and not too far away. A Feng said, "Master, according to the markings on the map, we should have to walk for another half an hour before arriving." It's just that. He was still a little worried. The pressure placed on him by the infinite god of war blood vein was too great. He was worried that he would not be able to shoulder the heavy responsibility of being the whitebait race. Long Fei could tell what he was worried about and said, "There's no just that. Don't worry, I will help you." The two of them carefully moved forward. Long Fei secretly asked in his heart, "Sister, what is there to be afraid of about a fallen ancestor of the Titan? What do I have to be afraid of if he's already dead? So what if a dead body was in danger?" The Sleeping Beauty said, "Awakened soul. He still has a remnant soul inside of him. He's protecting his corpse and won't let anyone near it." Huh. Long Fei was slightly shocked. Is the Titan tribe like this as well? And there was still a remnant soul protecting his corpse? Or is he the only one who's special? Sleeping Beauty said, "I don't know if the Titan tribe has that habit, but in the entire wild universe, there are extremely few Titans. Maybe this Titan ancestral emperor is a little different, or maybe he is waiting for something." Long Fei's eyes flashed a ray of light and said, "Who knows? Maybe he is protecting a treasure. Haha, he's already dead, and yet his vengeful spirit still hasn't dissipated. There must be a reason for this. Waiting for his clansmen? I think that's impossible. I think he's protecting a powerful treasure." Long Fei started to cry. Moreover, the infinite god of war's blood vein was located in this place. What was the relationship between the two? The infinite god of war was the ancestor of the whitebait race. The reason he could become the Murlocs clan's war god might also be because of what he had obtained from the body of the Titan ancestral. Because he became stronger, fiercer, and became the Murlocs clan's war god? Thinking of all these, Long Fei became even more excited in his heart. There must be something in the Titan ancestral beast's body. The Sleeping Beauty did not say anything because she did not know either. Half an hour later, suddenly, a low roar came from the depths of the cave. It sounded like the weeping of a vengeful spirit. It was extremely terrifying. Long Fei also stopped right after and said, "Follow behind me. Be careful." A Feng did as he was told. Long Fei's aura wavered slightly as he sensed it. At this moment, buzz. A loud buzzing sound could be heard, followed by a series of cracking sounds. Ka ka ka. It was also at this time. A lamp was lit. It was as if they were at a secret base. The black hole became as bright as day, and the turbid sea water was quickly pulled out. Wallala, wallala. In just half a minute, all of the seawater was sucked out. A phone could not help but ask, "Master, are we here yet?" The cracking sounds continued to resonate from deep within the black hole, giving Long Fei the feeling that he had activated a large machine in an instant. At the same time, Long Fei's brows sank and his heart fiercely shook as he muttered, "Could this place be within Grandmaster Titan's body? This!" It was hard to imagine. Huff! Long Fei exhaled and said, "Don't worry, they're all here." Long Fei observed his surroundings and saw rocks. It didn't look like steel or some kind of metal. Calm down. The two continued their journey. After walking like this for another half an hour, they arrived at a vast and empty plaza. In the center of the plaza, there was a small hexagram array. A phone took a look at the escape map, pointed at the hexagram, and said, "Master, that is the seal formation of the infinite god of war's blood vein." And then, he was so excited that he wanted to run out, but, however, Long Fei pulled him back and said, "Don't be too careless." This place gave Long Fei a very bad feeling. It was as if countless eyes were staring at him, causing him to feel a little scared. After waiting for a few minutes, there was no reaction from the surroundings. Long Fei and Mu Yuro slowly walked forward. The moment they stepped onto the formation patterns around the six-pointed star, a rumbling sound of explosion rang out. A series of loud bangs sounded out. A thick metal door descended. It wasn't just this door. The hexagram's 6 doors all landed. Boom! At this moment, the hexagram flickered with light, and a gigantic illusory image appeared. The illusory image did not look very large, but it did give Long Fei and the rest a very huge feeling. It was as huge as the heavens and the earth. The shock in his heart was intense. "Humans!" A furious roar. A Feng's gaze sank and said in a low voice, "Master, I can feel the presence of the infinite god of war from his body. Could he be my whitebait race's infinite god of war?" "You're thinking too much. He is the creator of the infinite god of war, but he seems to be very hostile to us." Long Fei could clearly feel his anger from his voice. Long Fei took a step forward. Ancestor of the Titan tribe. Buzz. Rumble. With a loud bang, a glow appeared on the hexagram. The fluorescent light was like a huge attack. It simply gave Long Fei time to react as it was attacked ferociously. Bam! Long Fei's body fiercely flew backwards, smashing against the thick metal door, Poochie. He spat out a mouthful of blood. With just a tiny bit of fluorescence, the damage was simply off the charts. Long Fei was also instantly enraged. Fuck! In that instant, Long Fei's aura changed as the might of the devil god burst forth. His right hand wielded the 9 Tribulations sword as he pointed at the ball of shadow and said, "Screw it, I'll kill you." Boom! His aura changed, and his figure suddenly disappeared. The first move he made was to beat the demon god until he spat blood. He was in a really bad mood. The demon god's sword chi came crushing down from all directions, creating a loud sound as it collided with the illusory figure of the hexagram. Boom! Boom! The sword beams clashed together. Long Fei also pierced through, but he did not stop there. The movie maid did not cause any damage. Furthermore, he didn't even touch his body. Phantom, even if they needed to, they would be bound by his demon god aura and could still kill him. But the illusion couldn't touch it at all. Why is that? Long Fei's heart tensed up, but at that moment, a phone walked forward, knelt on the ground, and said, "Are you infinite god of war's primordial spirit? Infinite god of war." Hearing these words, the mysterious man became even angrier. "Liar! Liar! Humans are all liars. I will kill both of you." Buzz! With a burst of fluorescent light, a purplish-red ray flashed. What the hell? F***CK. Is it future technology? Long Fei's gaze darkened. He quickly rushed to a Fang's side and shouted loudly, "Be careful!" Pressing his body to the ground. In that instant, a red laser beam shot out. A deep imprint appeared on the surrounding walls, and all the special metals were pierced through. If he was hit, his body would be instantly cut off. F***CK. Isn't he too strong? Chapter 1531. Come out and fight with me now. Chapter 1531. Come out and fight with me now. This damage. It really exploded. Moreover, Long Fei could feel from the red laser light that this red laser attack carried a hint of destructive power, something that was impossible to resist. Seeing Long Fei and Yu Yang dodge, the mysterious man became even more furious and said, "Let's see how many more times you can dodge." Buzz, buzz, buzz. Fluorescence becomes a huge demand, just like the colorful glowing ball inside the KTV. Holy **T. Long Fei became angry and shouted loudly, "Be careful!" Buzz! The ball of light burst out, and the red laser started to shoot crazily. It was an irregular shot without any pattern, and Long Fei could only rely on his speed to jump and dodge. He was battered and exhausted. There were several times when a laser beam was almost close enough to dodge the attack. Long Fei tried to use the Nine Tribulations sword to block, but he found out. Even the Nine Tribulations sword couldn't defend against it. The red laser's power was too ferocious. Bang! Crack! Bang, bang! Crack, crack, crack! Long Fei brought a phone, and the other two as if they were discs. With the arrival of the laser, the two of them quickly dodged each other and did all sorts of strange movements. In addition, the red laser kept firing. It was really like doing some kind of exciting dance, and for the first time. This was the first time he had put the demon god in such a difficult situation. Long Fei's mind was also constantly pondering. The mysterious man didn't have any HP on his head, so he definitely wasn't a real one. No health but his attack. How did it come out? It was impossible to explain. The bloody bull of Underworld said, "Boss, let me come out and kill him." The God's War Beast said, "Boss, this guy seems to have some sort of power similar to your mothership. It's just that your mothership is firing artillery shells, and this is some kind of red laser. Carriers?" In that instant, Long Fei suddenly thought of something. Right, this guy is a future technology. His shadow is just a projection. And his attack, it's also very likely to be controlled by voice. That must be it. If it was a Chaos Realm Rancor, even a god would not be able to immediately sense what projection and sound control system was. Long Fei was a transcender. In his previous life, many things were useless in this world, but he had some common sense that surpassed everyone else in this world. After thinking this through, Long Fei began to look for the location where the shadow could be transmitted through. Suddenly, Long Fei said in a low voice, and said, "A phone. You be careful. Don't touch the red laser threads." "Master, what are you going to do?" Long Fei stared at a certain spot and coldly laughed. "I want to kill him. Motherf asterisk cur." In that instant, Long Fei's body moved and said with a slight shout, "This daddy has never been in such a sorry state before. Wasn't I just deceived by infinite god of war once? You want to vent your anger on us? Then I'll let you know my methods." As soon as he finished, boom, Long Fei jumped again and again. The 9 tribulations sword suddenly moved and suddenly stabbed into a dot of light on the left side. With a cold snort, he said, "Phantom image, break for me." Boom! Gotcha! The shadow began to distort, then quickly disappeared. The red laser ball disappeared, and everything returned to normal. A phone carefully crawled up from the ground and said slightly, "Master, is it over?" Long Fei shook his head and said, "It's not that simple." He thought to himself, "There must be a control room here. This fellow could very well be the remnant soul of the ancestor of the Titan. But what did Infinite God of War promise him? Can it turn an ordinary Murloc warrior into the war god of the Murloc's clan? What kind of power does he possess?" Long Fei really wanted to know. Right now, what he needed to do was to increase his power, levels restrictions, and restrict his power. He needed to break through all of these. Thus, he needed even more power. Boom! Red light suddenly flashed on the hexagram, and the white fluorescent light turned completely red. It covered the entire space. There was no place to hide. Holy sh**t. The enlargement stroke. Long Fei's heart tightened. He did not know if his magic body could handle it either, and angrily said, "If you have the guts, come and fight with me. Do you dare? Come out." A deep voice rang out. "It's useless to provoke me. You humans have lied to me once. This time, I will make you pay the price. Bring your sister's price." Long Fei immediately scolded. "There are billions of humans in the Chaos Realm. If you have the guts, kill them all. Moreover, do you know humans? How do you know he lied to you? Maybe he died long ago." Long Fei asked softly, "Where is your Infinite God of War now?" A phone replied, "Dead." Long Fei, "How did he die?" A phone said, "Breaking through the shackles, lured in the heavenly tribulation, and finally died." Long Fei blinked his eyes. Died in such a tragic way? And then, Long Fei said, "You heard it. He was directly struck to death by lightning." Impossible. The blood vein that I created and the powerhouse that I created are simply impossible to destroy in this kind of low realm with the power of imprisonment. You two are definitely lying to me. A deep sound rang out. Long Fei said, "Do you King believe me? I will ask you now, do you dare to come out and fight with me? Hiding in the control room is nothing. Come out if you dare." His voice turned cold. You seem to know a lot. To be able to break through his projection point meant that Long Fei was very special. "Don't give me a beep. Come out if you have the guts." Long Fei didn't want to waste words with him, and furthermore, the red light around the hexagram grew brighter and brighter. If it really erupted, Long Fei didn't have the confidence to defend against it. "You want to fight me? Then you should avoid this attack first." As soon as his voice fell, a red fluorescence burst out, forming an intense red laser. F***CK. Long Fei's heart tensed up. "We are finished." The Sleeping Beauty suddenly said, "Don't your space rings still have more Destroy Godmind stones? It can withstand the power of this red laser." "Sister, why didn't you say so earlier?" Long Fei almost cried. Immediately, Long Fei shouted, "Hide behind me." The Destroy Godmind was very small, so it was very difficult for it to block their entire body. However, if it approached them to block, it would be different. Long Fei rushed forward and covered it with his Destroy Godmind. Boom! Cover the side. The Destroy Godmind trembled crazily. Long Fei used one hand to forcefully block it, and his entire body was shaken until it became numb. Indeed, just as the Sleeping Beauty had said, the Destroy Godmind blocked the red laser beam. Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. As expected of the Destroy Godmind stone, it's too awesome. Destroy Godmind? You actually have a Destroy Godmind? His voice was filled with shock. But Long Fei did not waste time with him and said, "I've blocked your move. Can you come out to fight with me now?" Chapter 1532, Divine Tree. Chapter 1532. Divine Tree, there was no point in blocking the red laser. If he didn't overturn his original body, no matter how many attacks he used, they would be useless. However, Long Fei simply could not find the location of his original body and could only force him to come out. The deep voice quieted down. Long Fei immediately sneered and said, "How funny. At the beginning you said that humans were scammers, but now what about you? That doesn't count. There really is another standard for what happens to me. What right do you have to blame others?" Ridiculous. Extremely ridiculous. Long Fei was really worried that this guy would not come out. Otherwise, he really wouldn't be able to do anything at all. "Shut up." His voice sank, and he said furiously, "My Titan King has always kept his word." He did not expect Long Fei to be able to dodge this move. Long Fei laughed mockingly. "If you say yes or no, then come out and fight with me. You liar and coward. You are nothing but 2 centimeters worth of trash." At this point in time, he was going to have to use his mouth. Moreover, was secretly shocked in his heart when this guy called himself Titan King. Could it be the king of the Titan tribe? Wow. Killing him would surely cause an uproar. However, it seems like he's already dead. It's just a remnant soul. Something that is guarded by the Titan King must be very powerful. Moreover, what was he trying to do? What does he want the infinite god of war to do? So much so that infinite god of war ignored the dangers and actually chose to trigger the heavenly tribulation to ascend. What exactly did he have to do? What huge temptation did it give him? Long Fei really want to know more about this. No doubt about it. There must be a secret treasure here. It was a huge secret. Come on, you scum. If you don't keep your word, come out if you have the guts." Long Fei loudly taunted, "A turtle dove." While he was cursing, Long Fei's aura kept searching. If he really doesn't want to come out, Long Fei has to think of a way to find him. Roar. With a furious roar, the space shook violently and it became unstable. The corner of Long Fei's mouth slightly curled up. It's about to come out. A foam. Stay on the side and be careful. Don't come up no matter what happens. Long Fei warned as he laughed coldly. "Come on, you don't dare, right?" Buzz. Suddenly, the hexagram exploded. A figure shot forward. Looking at the figure, Long Fei was instantly stupefied. A foam, who was at the side, was the same. Titan's ancestor should be incomparably huge, at least a few thousand meters tall, at least a few hundred meters, right? Even in his youth, he should have at least a few dozen meters, right? To retreat 10,000 steps, that should be a few meters high, right? But the virtual image that stood in front of Long Fei was it was more than a meter tall. This is a fucking Titan King? Is this a dwarf? Poochie. Long Fei could not help but laugh out loud. He looked at the dwarf that was covered in blood and said, "Are you here to play with me? I'm telling you, you did it." Although it was just a remnant soul, it was still a member of the Titan tribe after all. But this person was a short person. The difference was too great. However, the remnant spirit in front of him hated it when people mocked him for his short stature the most. Just now, when Long Fei's JJ was less than 2 centimeters long, had stabbed into his sore spot, she was incomparably furious. The Sleeping Beauty suddenly said, "Be careful." The Titan King was furious, and a stream of energy immediately locked onto him. Long Fei reacted quickly and leaped up, shouting in his heart, "Paralyzed ring, activate. Resurrection ring, open." After the 2 rings were opened, Long Fei dodged a move. With one leg on the wall, he flew straight up, and his expression became serious as he shouted, "If you come out, don't even think about leaving." Buzz. Leave. I never thought of leaving. The remnant soul of the Titan King flew into a rage, and out of nowhere, he took out a huge anchor. The chains wrapped around him swept out. Walala. Without waiting for Long Fei to get close, the giant triangular anchor hooked on a Long Fei. Its power was extremely ferocious and unstoppable. Shwa. As if it had cut through the air, Long Fei's voice crazily collided with the spatial fragment, making it extremely difficult to endure. The anger in his heart rose, the might of a demon god. Boom! With an explosive sound, the power of the devil god within Long Fei's body burst out. The 9 tribulations, sword in his hand, fiercely thrust forward, heavily stabbing the ground. Flames flew in all directions. After a few seconds, Long Fei suddenly stopped. Crack! Heavenly tribulation slash. Long Fei rushed forward, and the energy from the 9 tribulations sword in his hand instantly filled up, as a powerful energy crazily rushed towards the remnant soul of the Titan King. However, Titan King laughed coldly. The heavenly tribulation in your lower plane is completely useless, not to mention the God-suffering force that you cultivate in. Boom! There was no defense at all, and Long Fei directly struck him. Miss! A scarlet English number floated above Titan King's head. Even if it was the powerhouse of the semi-realistic realm, this strike would still take half of his life. Ms. Long Fei couldn't believe it himself. However, and it was also at this moment that the remnant soul of the Titan King fiercely rushed forward and stood half a meter away from Long Fei. With a deep voice, he shouted out, "Feel the roar that has come from the Titan tribe." Boom! His right foot stomped on the ground. There was no change, but Long Fei's mind felt as though it was destroying the world, and it was extremely uncomfortable. He howled like his head was going to explode. Boom! 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 At the same time, his health point was going berserk, and it was decreasing rapidly. In the end, he finally saw the bottom. His body went limp, and he fell to the ground, dead. Titan King laughed coldly and said, "You laugh at me? Is a tiny human like you worthy of it? This is what happens when you mock me." He really couldn't take that strike just now. It was too hard. The demon god's health also instantly fell to 0. However, in this state of death, there was actually an indescribable energy exploding within Long Fei's body. The power of the heavenly tribulation at the great perfection stage burst out once again. The tender bud in Long Fei's body suddenly extended its branches and leaves, transforming into a sapling. An instant of change had a huge impact on Long Fei, especially the change brought by his magic body. It was extremely small at the start, and it was as if he had control over the entire world's energy. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for the initial form of the Heavenly Calamity Tree. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ability Sky Fire Tribulation /. Have you activated it? F***CK. Does that even need to be said? Of course it's activated. At this moment, the power of perfection began to burn crazily in Long Fei's body. 1. The resurrection ring started to move. Long Fei suddenly stood up. The 9 tribulations sword started to burn. Little shorty, it's my turn. I'll let you have a taste of the greetings from the heavenly tribulation. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.